This is my sister. You can all have her. I hear she's very good.
That was really cool, by the way.
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
I'm your huckleberry.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair. He hunts now!
I'm rich and I'm dead sexy.
Call me Snake.
Like the guy says, you're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna trap thunder. I'm just a happy camper.
Hail to the king, baby.
It's good to be the king.
Groovy.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Something strange happened to me this morning.
Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you?
No.
Why am I the only person that has that dream? Would you classify that as a launch problem or a design problem?
Beef jerky?
No, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh. Sorry, I farted.
I'm your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the force, you nap.
Groovy.
Oh yeah, I'm getting mic'd up. Why is every day the mic is louder and louder, and we haven't figured out why it doesn't like to maintain its volume every time nothing changes. And yet, oh yes, we're live. I think we're sort of live. We should be live. Here it comes. Get ready. Oh, it's so cool. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to the idea that we have a transition. Hi. I know. I have very flary hair today. There was nothing I could do about it except take a straight, like a flattening iron to it, and I just did not have time. Camden graduated from ninja school today, so we can, I guess, rent him out to Rogue Samurai, I suppose. Hi, everybody, over there in Twitter land, by the way, over at Periscope. Mind your manners. Cosmic Rose, we will figure out a way to get you back on our moderating zone. Please let me, like, I so seldom go through that whole thing, and we're firing on 4 channels, and everything has a different moderating standard, and I wish there was a button I could call, like, Big Wet Foot. Is it super loud? Am I super loud? I'm super loud, aren't I? I don't feel super loud, but I look super loud. I'm super loud, aren't I? Oh, it's sad. Sound is okay? Hey, what's happening, Kristen on Periscope? Periscope! Let me see all the Periscope hearts. What's happening, Shibuti? Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Glad you're dropping by. I appreciate that. Today's there's sort of a rubber band effect, I find, when Trump is not allowed to let off idiot steam every so often. That it's just this, to quote Jeff Tate, kettle left to boil, and the water left these scars on me. So that if he doesn't, and Twitter used to do it for him. Twitter used to be enough. And then he got kind of this, I guess it was Twitter and rallies, right? And that was, he had those 2 outlets. He didn't need to kind of blow his stack. Granted, he did all kinds of insane, stupid things constantly, but, those kind of moderated the reality. And so now he can't do the rallies. Twitter is pretty much a dud, thanks to people like me and the Lincoln Project, just taking all the fun out of it, because we've learned, I think we've all learned, have we all learned that you don't respond to Trump's tweets with the righteous indignation that they deserve, because it falls on deaf hearts? Is that a thing? What you do is you mock and dismiss. It is the best weapon in your arsenal. It has lasting power. You don't lose your own mind. You can retain all your own anger and hurt feelings for real life things that you actually have, you can impact on, like your personal relationships and child rearing, whatnot, things, death of a loved one, things, where real emotions belong, and you don't spend them in social media that may or may not be heard, is my point. And so when it comes to Trump, what you want him to be aware of when he sees the feed is lame, weak, stupid, dork, dumb, try again, try harder, fail, those kind of things. That's what he reacts to. That's what drives him nuts. If you just kind of go, you fascist, he's like, they're saying the right people are calling me a fascist. Oh yeah, daddy, like you have to, even flipping him off to some degree shows some sort of like anger towards him in a way that he doesn't deserve. And I've had to learn this lesson over time. I'm not perfect with it. I get outraged as much as anybody. But I've also learned to do a 3 to 5 breath thing. Writing drunk is a good thing to do. That'll work. Thanks, Virginia. I'm liking my long hair too. I think I'm going to keep it until there's a cure. So expect it to be down to my nipples before we're all out and about. But in the process, yes, he does hate being called a dope. I pointed that out, Bob, a while back, and I don't know what the sticking point is, but it shows up in a lot of stuff. And apparently he grinds about this in person with other people. I look like a dope. Maybe it's a leftover 70s, 80s drug thing. Thank you, Steve. Thanks so much. My birthday present today is keeping you on. Thanks for being here. Aw, thanks, Steve. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Steve, everybody. And thank you guys for joining me again. Even the Facebook people. That's right. Even you ratty bastards who, you QAnon folks and you psychopaths. I'm not talking to the Facebook people who are normal and like my normal page. I'm talking about the people who seemed surprised that I show up in their feed and feel the need to go, how dare you say these things on your own feed and your own page? Yeah. Anyways, but boycotting Goya is wrong. Okay. Cognitive dissonance, anyone? All right. So, needless to say, yeah, dope is, I think it's a leftover 70s, 80s drug reference thing, or maybe he's just sensitive to the fact that he's been hiding his drug problem all these years. You know what I mean? Because that's definitely, please invite your followers. How do I do that? What do you mean? Invite who's? Yes, everybody here, invite your followers to come visit the show. There you go. Infotainmentwars.com is the way to see the show. Or if you're on Twitter, look up. I'm looking down at your feed right now, and quite frankly, you'd be better off not following those people and creating lists, because your significant other is going to find out and you're going to be in trouble. There's far too much nudity down there. I mean, I recommend Instagram for that kind of horseplay. So, yeah. This is I wanted my last can of Goya veggies. No more. There you go. Well, yeah, don't let them go to waste. That's even worse. Or donate them. That's a great idea. But anyways, regardless, this is a running thing with Trump, is that he can't. Thanks for the first Super Heart, JMC 603066 something. And thank you, Joe Carter. So this is so we're a daily show, by the way. We're now a daily show. We're here every day. We're except Sunday, I guess. Technically, we take back one kadam, as it were. But over the last couple of months, they've had this fits and starts with him trying on these rallies, and of course, Tulsa was like, typhoid Tulsa. They were, it was just basically an epicenter. Like, basically, all of his rallies are just contagion epicenters. And he's like, well, I don't know. You win some, you lose some. And by lose some, I mean dead followers. But we will see as the year goes on how, gradual openings of things work. And yes, sometimes twice a day. It is true, Richard. And if it was up to me, I'd be on 3 times a day. But I have a child and a significant other, and she has a child, and I'm the cook. So it kind of runs counter. And I'm taking piano lessons and studying an online course at the same time, and still trying to keep my skills up with editing and stuff. I'm releasing a music video very soon. Just saying. Wink, wink. There's a new song coming out. New project, new everything. It's on its way. It's been a lot of work. It was filmed before the recent unpleasantness. No, she does not. I'm it. Yeah, it's typhoid Tulsa. That's what was happening. And now he was going to have this New Hampshire rally because he's losing the state, which I think he lost last time, but panic being what it is. So he decided to go down to Florida, where he feels welcome, where he doesn't actually live, and he registered to vote even though he doesn't have a residence there. By the way, are we now? Just thumbs up, hand gesture with the words, oh, thanks, Philly Dana. Yeah, give a like and a thumbs up if you could. Or give me a thumbs down if you're a hater or a troll or a wannabe or any of those things who's all grumbly about me making fun of your orange clown king, because the algorithms simply don't care. They don't care. They just want eyeballs. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, they just want viewers. So even if you hate me, it's good. It helps. Thanks. So come on by and have a little hate. Just be nice in the chat rooms, because these people didn't ask for trouble. Thank you, Templeton Zarat. Here's my week's worth of gold stars for the man who always does his homework. Thanks for all you do. Bless you, Templeton Zarat. And I hope you got my tweet earlier. I responded to one of yours. But so over the course of the next couple of months, you will see us attempting to open society in fits and starts. And most of the fits will come from Donald Trump. Most of the starts will happen with the rest of us, slowly but surely not tiptoeing into the rest of the world. But that said, Trump is down in Florida. He made a stop by Doral, apparently, to pick up a package left by a cartel and Ghislaine Maxwell. And then he's heading back up. I don't know. This is a must-win state, Florida. And the way the direction of the pandemic is pointing there, and the age range of both his viewers, Fox News viewers, you know how, we've been talking about for a while, how one of Fox News's biggest problems was the aging of their audience, right? I mean, this has been an ongoing thing for a while, that the youngins are watching CNN and MSNBC if they're watching the news at all, but the old ones are all corralling around Fox News and just warming their hands on the pyre of sexism and bigotry. And Florida's a big slice of that. It's like, you know, God's waiting room, the flaccid penis of America dangling off our, you know, our southern hemisphere. Honestly, that's the majority of both his audience, Fox's audience, and the population down there that he would find welcoming. And he's been shrugging off their deaths for months. Well, it's mostly old people. It's mostly old. I mean, most of the people who are getting this and dying from it are old. Yeah, your crowd. He's going to single-handedly turn that state purple or blue just by wiping out his own followers. And again, I don't know why I have to reiterate this, for God's sake, but as a Democrat, dyed in the wool, carrying me out in a blue box Democrat, to all my Republican friends out there and the libertarian assholes who think they have a political philosophy and the anarchist knuckleheads who are basically politically punching themselves in the face to prove us all wrong, all you folks, I don't want you to die. I don't care if you vote against me. I want you to vote. I want you to go to vote.org and sign up and vote and make sure you're registered and make it to the polls and vote and participate in this democracy because it's what makes our flag important. It's what makes our country special. Participate. Do it. And in the process, I don't want you to croak trying. I don't want you to catch a disease and have this be the last election you vote in. I know there are people in the chat room that will joke about this. There are tons of jokes about it online all the time. You will not hear them from me, ever. I may hate your philosophy, but I want you alive and voting. Got it? You understand? I want you to be able to do your business and have a business without worrying that you will kill your customers or your customers will kill you. Okay? Get that? Okay. Can we get started? Are you ready? Because I want to start in on this jackass. And, I mean, he's waiting. He's right there. There he is. He's waiting. But I want to start in on that, but I want to be, we got to clear the air right out of the gate just to make sure. Thank you, James Etling. I'm watching the Florida Man clip you retweeted. What the hell, indeed? Oh, I don't know what the shit that was. I don't know. That was so weird. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's your loss. But in the process, people who are watching who don't like the sound of my voice or the things that I'm saying or all those things, hello, and thank you for the algorithm boost. But also, understand that not only do we not want you to die, we want you to be able to vote. We also are for all the good cops. We support the troops. We like the flag. All those things. We just think we can deal with the negative parts of them or the parts that need improvement through open dialogue and discussion without being Chicken Little about either side caving in on us. See, we deal with complexity here very well. If you're a crayons and hammers kind of a person, you might want to check out Tucker Carlson or somebody, honestly, because you're not gonna feel good, because there may even be math. I know that sounds like a threat, but it's a reality. So anyways, okay, here we go. So Trump decides that, and the title of this video that we're doing and seeing today is President Trump participates in a roundtable on supporting the people of Venezuela. See, where this is going to come from is this is an anti-socialism thing. So their attempts to, it's amazing to me that one of the things they were going to run against Biden was the fact that he was the crime bill. That Trump did criminal justice reform, that little bill about sentencing, which everybody was for, and all he had to do was insist that the Republicans let it get through because it would have passed and anybody would have signed it. But the only holdup was Republicans. But in this case, he was a useful idiot. That he passed that, and they were going to use that as, see, I passed criminal justice reform, and Joe Biden was for the crime bill in the 90s when crime was through the roof at the peak of the lead-related crime wave that was 20 years after the peak of leaded gasoline and lead in our atmosphere. But that's for another day. So they were going to use, that was the wedge. And Trump hated it, but Jared talked him into the idea that it would be good for him politically. And he's been aggravated about it and apparently yelling at Jared about this ever since. Okay? And secondly, you can't exactly plan your re-election campaign on the idea that you're going to run against the guy who did the crime bill when what you're suggesting is bringing back stop and frisk, which he did, and that you're going to be the law and order president, and we've got to lock up looters and people who deface statues for a decade. A decade, right? That you're going to run on, I did criminal justice reform, P.S. I want to send people to jail for a decade for defacing a statue. So it falls apart. The argument falls apart. So the next round was Biden's been captured by the radical left is the idea, because it's a radical left idea that people should be equal apparently in the eyes of the law and the application of the law. Like honest to God, most of the 8 can't wait stuff that's floating around, most police departments have some version of all of those elements already in place following things like Ferguson. There was a coordinated effort in the White House under Obama to make sure that it spread to the other ones that didn't have such a thing, the COPS program. And guess who scuttled that program in 2017? Right out of the gate, he got rid of police reform. You understand? 2017, 2018, like that there was a 12-month window there where he got rid of police reform, where he got rid of the pandemic response team, where he put people in charge of the SBA and education to scuttle public education, like all the things that people count on for government that you take for granted. He's decided to basically put a gun to its head and go, you might miss this when it's gone. So now the last ditch effort is Biden is a socialist. Okay, tell that to the Bernie stands who are still clamoring for Biden's demise in this. You have to understand, there was a wing of Sanders supporters who were praying that Sanders would get enough delegates and Biden would get COVID, and therefore they would argue at a brokered convention that they had more than anybody else, and he would become the nominee, which is not going to happen. But that was a thought for basically right up to the beginning of the lockdown, and through maybe mid-April. Yeah. Oh, Trump just granted Roger Stone clemency? Of course he did. Because he can't pardon him, because pardoning him means he has to admit everything. Christ. Yeah, Biden and Che Guevara best. Yeah, Bernie lost. He lost last time. He lost this time. He lost. It's okay. His ideas, the ones that are worthwhile, get pushed forward, get accepted, some get elevated by other people's plans and devalued in some areas where they're not practical. Democracy. I know a lot of people hate that idea right now, and it's really frustrating. But democracy is essential, and it takes time, and you're not going to get everything you want. And compromise is part of life. And also, incrementalism. Because revolution is the 6-minute abs of democracy. It doesn't work, okay? Revolution requires the death of not only your enemy, but many of your compatriots. Revolution is a word at this point. It's a cartoon. But reform just isn't sexy. It's a fluffy word. It's got an F instead of a V. I mean, what are you going to do? So, I'm a rebel left. Trump is a rabid right. So there, I've always been a liberal left, and left-handed right. So, yeah. So, anyways, here let's dive into This is what he's doing. He's doing a roundtable supporting the people of Venezuela with the idea that Biden will turn the United States into Venezuela. And by that, I think he means more people on food stamps and in bread lines than any other time in U.S. history. No functioning government agencies, police that don't uphold the rule of law and kill citizens extrajudicially. I mean, literally, he is threatening America with, if you elect Biden, there'll be more of what I'm doing. Yeah, taco trucks. Yeah, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. There'll be taco trucks on every corner. It's coming. If only.
We're setting records from stop to stop, and it's great. And they're my friends, and it's a place I know very well.
We're setting records, and it's we stop. His mic's not on yet, so I don't know what the hell that meant, but we'll find out.
Victory's here, and
hold on.
We're making our rounds of Florida.
We're making our rounds of Florida.
We're setting records from stop to stop, and it's.
We're setting records from stop to stop. Records of what?
And they're my friends, and it's a place I know very well.
And we're setting records from stop to stop, and they're my friends, and it's a place I know very well. Thanks, Grandpa. Eat your pudding.
We have great victories here, and
we have great victories here. Florida's cases are through the roof.
And very grateful also to be back in South Florida with Americans from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and many other great places that we cherish and we take care of. I want to thank Pastor Frank Lopez. Thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate it. Where's Frank? Thank you, Frank. That's not like.
Hey, Frank. Where's Frank? You're looking right at him. Oh.
Thank you, Frank, not being in the spotlight. I can't believe it. That's great. We appreciate it very much, Frank. Beautiful job you do. And my friend Mario Diaz-Balart, great congressman and a great warrior. He's been a warrior. And
has he been a warrior? Really? Because I think he's just protected your criminal enterprise.
This area in particular, but thank you very much. Great job. And he recovered successfully. He was positive. He tested positive.
Yes, he actually, wow.
I heard about it. I wasn't thrilled. But he fought it out. Somebody said his immune system must have been good.
So anybody, by the way, if you know anybody who's sick or died of COVID, their immune system just wasn't good. They're just not as talented as that dude.
It wasn't perfect, but you still went through a little bit, right? I did. But you did.
It wasn't perfect, but you still went through a little bit.
Great job. Thank you very much. Well,
now his mic's on.
Administration, as you know, it stands with every citizen of Venezuela and Cuba and Nicaragua. It stands with the righteous struggle for freedom. The patriots here today fled socialism to find freedom.
See, this is what we're going to do. This is the Biden means socialism gathering, which, he doesn't.
And socialism and other things, as you.
And by the way, socialism and other things. They also fled the bugs. I mean, honestly, South America, just like, it's like Australia, but further east.
Oh.
Or west, I guess, depending on which way you go.
And,
kind of a midpoint.
A step beyond socialism in many cases.
A step beyond socialism. You mean communism? Totalitarianism? Fascism? Which one? Pick one.
And now
say something.
Biden and the radical left are trying to impose the same system, socialism plus, in America.
Wait. Okay, first of all, you mean impose, not oppose. You just basically said that Biden opposes socialism plus. What you mean is impose.
And is a puppet of Bernie Sanders.
He's a puppet of Bernie Sanders. That's what's up.
The militant left, the people that want to rip down statues and monuments to George Washington.
No. Robert E. Lee. Did you guys see General Milley today? I was shocked. I'm like, how does he still have a job? That was amazing. He's like, yeah, we don't want statues of Confederate generals up. It was sedition. They were traitors. They actively fought against the creation of our country.
Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Jesus, Okay, Jesus.
Okay, Jesus. Yeah, Biden, the devout Catholic. Could Trump pick out Jesus out of a lineup, and would he say nice hair but no rack? I'm guessing.
They want to rip down statues to Jesus. So we're dealing with a group of people.
Yeah, he's really running on a rip down statues of Jesus ticket.
That they will not win. They will
No. It's amazing how people don't win a game they don't play.
not win at all. But this election coming up is a very important one. I used to say 2016 the most important, and maybe I'll still say that, but this is.
But I'll say it even if it's not something I should say, but I'll say that I'm going to say whatever I say.
Equal to that. This is equal.
Okay. What politician doesn't think that the last election was very important? It was the most important one when they were running it. And the next election, because they want to keep their office, is now the most important. Only someone who literally, glory days, lives off of his 2016 win in his own sense of worth. Yeah, I think he did say Adderall. It snuck out.
Because we need that extra time to have it seed like a tree. You move it, it has to grab on.
Wait, what? What? I'm sorry. I got so distracted trying to make sense of the gibberish, I lost the thread.
They will not win. They will not win at all. But this election coming up is a very important one. I used to say 2016 the most important, and maybe I'll still say that, but this is equal to that. This is equal because we need that extra time to have it seed like a tree. You move it, it has to grab on. And that's why.
You guys got that right? What? What the shit are you talking about?
Appreciate you all being your great leader.
Thank you for bringing the seeds of the tree seeds. What?
And I appreciate you being here.
And bringing all the seeds of the trees that give them time to seed the tree of the trees. Who moved my seeds?
Nobody will be safe in a Biden America.
Nobody will be safe in a Biden America. There will be, let me guess, a pandemic, riots in the streets, more people on food stamps than anyone in history, 15% African American and Latino unemployment, 11% standard, like, general populace unemployment. Yeah, that's now. I'm sorry.
But Biden.
No plan for reopening. No, by the way, it's the whole Buy American thing that Biden said yesterday that's bugging him, isn't it? And it still didn't stop him from wearing his Chinese-made flag pin and his Chinese tie.
Doesn't know what a Biden America is, if you ask.
Tell us what a Biden America is. Go ahead. Joe Biden. Yes, the world-renowned socialist.
To define it, he wouldn't even know what it is, but other people do. And he will have radical people running that. He'll be choosing a vice president who.
Like Stephen Miller, or.
We'll see what that ends up being.
He'll choose a vice president like. We'll see.
But he'll be.
I love Will Smith. Sorry, I get them mixed up all the time. Will Smith and Will C they're so close.
Choosing somebody, but even that person won't have as much to do with running the country as you'd believe.
What?
Biden wants.
So he's going to get basically a lefty Dick Cheney as his vice president, but that lefty Dick Cheney is going to be subservient to a group of people that Nancy Pelosi tells to go pound sand regularly with great effect while she runs a functioning government under this jackass.
To defund the police. He wants to call.
No, he doesn't.
Cops the enemy, which he did the other day, leaving
No, he didn't.
every citizen at the mercy of a socialist mob. Or
I'm sorry, first of all, is there a clip of Biden saying cops are the enemy? And secondly, find it. And thirdly, if he did say that, which is bananas and I don't buy it, how is a guy who calls police the enemy beating you by 11% minimum?
Mob far worse than socialism was ever meant to be.
That's what it is. They're just not living up to the promise of socialism.
I'm fighting against this horrible situation. I'm fighting, and I'm fighting hard.
Oh yeah, keep fighting. You sound like Cenk Uygur. You're fighting, so I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it. I'm fighting reading without using my finger. Why does someone not iron my papers? The moment there is a debate, Biden will say nothing like that. Oh, totally. Oh, he's just, yeah.
And I want the Republican.
Biden came out and was saying, get up and get down. 911 is a joke in your town. He said that. I saw that. He looked like Biden. I thought it was Biden.
To get strong and tough, and I want people that agree with me on the Democrat side, of which there are many. I think we're going to have a tremendous Democrat surge. We're actually doing, in the real polls, we're doing very well.
The real polls. Yeah, in the real polls, Democrats are voting for him. Somebody just showed him that he's down from his magic thinking 96% of Republicans to 82% of Republicans. And he's like, I'm going to get Democrats. That's my key to winning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shit on socialism so hard that centrist Democrats are going to come from Biden to me. Right.
We reviewed polls this morning with different states. We're doing very well, by the way. You'll be happy to know in the state of Florida.
No, you're not.
We're doing great. You see the boaters out there, thousands and thousands of boats.
Oh, the boaters. Oh, he did a boating poll. So all the people on their boats with their flags hanging off the back, the maggots with that are boating with Trump 2020. There were like 25, 30 boats out there, man. They were all together in one big group. They obviously, the boaters, I mean, what more of a poll do you need than that? A bunch of people with Trump on their boats. Each one of them can vote 25 times. It's not like the state has millions of people in it.
Every weekend, and we appreciate it.
It's not like it's the same assholes.
But nobody's seen anything like it ever. And we have that.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Well, I've seen stuff like that or whatever. Whenever Jimmy Buffett tours, I think.
In many other states with boaters and bikers and everybody.
He's really going to nail down. So these are his voting blocks so far, kids. Centrist Democrats who think that Joe Biden is going to be a socialist. He's going to win them over in big numbers, enough to tip the scales, and boaters and bikers.
A spirit that nobody's ever seen. I don't think we had anything like this even in the 2016 race because
it's the same people.
What happened?
No, it's the same people. There's fewer of them, but it's the same people. The ones that are there were there.
We built the greatest economy in the history of our world.
The largest deficit in history, largest military spending in history. It's amazing how...
Greater than anything we've had, but greater than anything the world has ever seen. China was not doing well. China went down to the worst. It was the worst year they had in 67 years. This is before the plague came in, the China virus came in.
Fill them in. Tell everybody. They may not have heard this. They may have been in Venezuela at the time. Tell them all about the China virus.
And the worst economy they had in 67 years. They were doing not well with the tariffs and all the other. We're taking billions of dollars from China. I was giving it to farmers and giving it to people that were targeted.
No, $68 billion in taxpayer funds. Sorry. You don't lower the amount of things being sold country to country and deny entry of those things, put tariffs on them, and then deny entry on them. By the way, none of them were the things that Ivanka sells. Notice that. But you don't lower the volume of things being brought in from China. By the way, hello, Walmart. We see you. And end up with more money coming in the form of tariffs long term.
And
we spent $68 billion to buy $50 billion worth of stuff from farmers that China was supposed to buy and hasn't yet and isn't going to, during a time when China needs our agricultural goods more than any other time in their history, especially pork products, because they had to kill 700 million pigs because of a disease that moved through the whole, like every pig farm in Asia, in China, was almost completely wiped out.
Great, and then the plague came in. I said, "Oh, there's the plague."
Really? Is that what you did? Oh, there's the plague. What do you know? That's what you said? Holy shit. Wait, what?
They had in 67 years. This is before the plague came in, the China virus came in. And the worst economy they had in 67 years. They were doing not well with the tariffs and all the other. We're taking billions of dollars from China. I was giving it to farmers and giving it to people that were targeted. And we were doing great. And then the plague came in. I said, oh, there's the plague. The plague is coming in. And we closed our border.
Did you look at the ceiling? Oh, looks like plague. Is it weird? I just noticed that my knee feels funny whenever the plague comes in. I've always...
to China.
Thank you, Bronwyn Fox. By the way, oh, God. I just, like, look at that. Smell that? Smells like plague.
Very heavily infected, and we did the ban. And if we didn't do that, we would have had hundreds of thousands of more people dead. And then we did the ban to Europe because we saw what was happening with Italy and Spain and some others, many others. And we were ahead, but we're still fighting it, and we're going to do very well.
It's really sad when the glory days conversation is my bans I put on Europe and China after a bunch of other countries had already done that. You know, Italy stopped letting people fly out of their country, and the European Union blocked people flying back and forth between their countries. So we thought, hey, let's not let anybody from there come into the country. Oh, except the UK. They can keep coming in as their cases continue to rise. Because I like Boris.
Testing that at a level that nobody's ever tested before.
Yeah, because this is a novel disease.
We're making...
By the way, AIDS test, anyone? Do we want to talk about decades of AIDS tests?
Ventilators for the world. We literally had no ventilators.
Yeah, I think you're right. Can't stop lying. He says the gut punch on taxes and bad polls are wearing him down. This is not... by the way, notice he stopped saying Sleepy Joe. Now it's going to be Socialism Joe or some shit for a while. But he's like... You can't call somebody Sleepy Joe when you're finger reading and dragging ass through a standard, like, address. Get to the Roundtable, asshole. Can you imagine sitting at this thing waiting to talk about the issues of Venezuela, what the American government's policy towards Venezuela is going to be, how we're going to get aid in, how we stop the Russian push into there, all the shit that's real that you actually, if you were from there, you'd give a goddamn about? All that's getting bumped so he can yammer on about this bullshit.
Now we're making thousands of ventilators a month. Thousands and thousands, and we're helping.
Oh, thousands and thousands. I don't know if you know this, but thousands is plural. Oh, thousands and thousands.
Other countries, we're giving, as an example, to Mexico.
Yeah, they don't care. What about Nicaragua and Venezuela? You're talking to a specific group of countries. You don't know that whether or not we've... Say Venezuela. Have we given some? I'm fairly certain we have. Say that, you dickhead.
600 ventilators, and they desperately needed them. The president of Mexico was up at the White House 2 days ago, and
he speaks Spanish like you guys, so no diffy diff.
He is a great guy, the president, and we had a tremendous day and evening. We had dinner with a lot of the...
Isn't it romantic? All the Trumps I've loved before, who've traveled in and out my door. I'm glad you came along. Dedicate this song.
Real leadership of Mexico, and it was a fantastic thing, and a lot of people didn't think we would get along.
because of all the shit you've said about Mexican people and that the Mexican government was literally sending drugs, sending crime. The people they were sending are rapists. But some, you assume, who cross the border are good people. So it's just basically they send like the good people were just basically camouflage for the rapists and the drug dealers that the Mexican government is sending. So basically his argument has been from the beginning, by the way, not that per se all Mexicans are rapists. He knows he can't get away with that. His thing is that Mexico as a country was using America as a prison, essentially. Just dumping drug dealers and rapists into the country so they don't have to put them in jail. Why would people be shocked that you get along with the president of Mexico? And by the way, all those soldiers on the border that are supposedly keeping people out of the United States are now keeping people from the United States out of Mexico.
And it was just the opposite. We were joking about it a little bit. People thought maybe we're a very different type people, but we're not really. We got along great. So the relationship.
Ebony and hair of pea live together.
With Mexico and the United States is very strong. We just signed the USMCA, which is tremendous. We had a horrible, horrible situation with.
Tell them all about it. These people, they don't know what NAFTA is.
The NAFTA was the worst trade deal, I think, probably ever made. And now we have a great trade deal for the United States. And also it's very fair to Canada and to Mexico.
We'll see in 15 years.
That's good. We imposed historic sanctions on the Maduro regime. We indicted Maduro for narco-terrorism, as you know, everybody here knows.
You may not know about NAFTA, but you do know that we indicted one of your leaders on.
With the righteous and rightful leaders of Venezuela.
The righteous and rightful. Whatever. Pick one.
This time it's Juan Guaido.
Okay.
We imposed.
It's as close as he's going to get.
Sanctions on Nicaragua for human rights violations. They've been violating a lot of human rights. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
In Nicaragua? Oh my God, he just said Nicaragua. I'm not wrong about this. Hang out.
They've been violating a lot of human rights. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. You oh, it's worth it to do this every day just for these little gems that come along.
Which is tremendous. We had a horrible, horrible situation with NAFTA. It was the worst trade deal.
Okay, yeah.
I think probably.
Okay, great.
This time it's Juan Guaido.
That was pretty good, too.
We imposed sanctions on Nicaragua for human rights violations.
You got it right once. I don't know what the problem is. Thanks, Christina. Oh, God.
Been violating a lot of human rights. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. Oh my God. Oh. Okay, one more time, and then we move on. Oh shit.
We're standing with the righteous and rightful leaders of Venezuela. This time it's Juan Guaido. We impose sanctions on Nicaragua for human rights violations.
God.
They've been violating a lot of human rights. A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua. And
oh, God. Oh, tell me again about Biden's verbal gaffes, please. You should go off into a thing about how Biden probably can't even spell Nicaragua. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh. What are you gonna do to her, Agua? That's not. Every woman on that panel just covered her glass. Oh God. Oh, it's gonna be hard to top that one, kids. We still got a lot of time left. Oof. Oh my God.
Ended the Obama-Biden sellout to the
Oh, he even went for it.
Castro regime in Cuba. We've been very strong on Cuba. Cuba's not doing so well.
Yeah, we were opening up our relationship with them, and you closed it just because Obama opened it up.
Joe Biden has pledged to reinstate the pro-communist policies of the Obama-Biden.
The pro-communist policy. Yeah, opening up travel and trade. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, who was working on a deal with China that they didn't want to screw up, so they dragged ass on stopping the China virus from coming in? I'm sorry. Is this now policy of the Trump administration? We do not do business with communist regimes? We don't do open travel and trade with them anymore? Is that going to be it? Please. Nicaragua.
Administration. They were pro-communist policies. The deal he made with Cuba was ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Really? What was it? Explain the deal we made with Cuba.
Did for Cuba, and what they did for Cuba is ridiculous.
Really? How? What? Tell us the details. Tell us one detail about the deal that was ridiculous.
And I guess it's why the Cubans gave me the Bay of Pigs Award just before the last election, if you remember. I got the Bay of Pigs Award, which was a great honor. I have it very proudly in my office.
No, that's not the Bay of Pigs Award. That was a statue they made of you. That's not a pig. That's your neck.
Republicans are the party of freedom. Democrats are the party of socialism and worse. That's what's happened.
Socialism and worse. That's what we've been running on all these times, guys. Socialism and worse.
The Democrat Party is a whole different deal. They tear down the monuments and they think it's good. Nancy Pelosi made a statement. Well, that's okay.
That's what she said. Well, that's okay.
No big deal. And the reason she said that is she has no control over it. She didn't say it because she really believed it. She said it because she has absolutely no control over what these people are doing, and we do.
Yeah. Okay. You mean the Boogaloo Boys? I'm sorry. I didn't know who he was talking about. Yeah. No. Nancy Pelosi does not have control over the rioters and the people who are throwing Molotov cocktails at cops and all that kind of stuff. Those are your folks. Yeah. What they do is they get into the protest groups and they act as agent provocateurs and attempt to assault and kill people to start a civil war. Yeah, you're right. Nancy Pelosi does not have any control over those folks. You do.
We do. We were.
Yeah, we know.
Going to go into Seattle. We were all set to move, and then they heard that we were, and the police came out, and they did what they should have done.
Oh, I see. They only dealt with that because you were going to come in, not because there was a murder in the CHOP and the scene where the kid was killed, a black kid, by the way, shot by the security forces of the CHOP, and his younger brother, who was critically injured, were both dragged out of their vehicle that they were in, and one of them died, and the other one went to the hospital after somebody dragged them out of the CHOP, and the car where they were shot was ransacked to hide all the evidence of who shot them. Fuck the CHOP, fuck the Chaz. Nonsense. Hi, I'm a Democrat. I think they're garbage. Try harder.
Weeks before, so we got that done. Minneapolis, same thing. We said you've got to send.
Terrence Floyd is 100% the reason why things calmed down in Minneapolis.
The National Guards after 4 days of ridiculous no law enforcement.
Ridiculous no law enforcement. All the best words.
We demanded that the National Guard be sent in. The minute it was sent in, it all ended. They walked through those streets like...
Yeah, because they were a day after it had already started to quiet down.
A knife goes through butter. It was pretty...
A knife goes through butter. First of all, it's more like how a knife does schmear, I guess, since it's a wall and it kind of pushes it back. But secondly, a knife through butter? You're talking about American citizens.
Amazing. Now what we're doing...
Speaking of butter, is that... I'm just saying the butter you use to color your hair was probably left on the counter overnight.
Is in Portland, we have a very radicalized group, and we have it so under control. We have it under control. The local police have not done the job. I think they were told not to do a job, but we have it very much under control. We're taking...
Well, if Portland's under control and the local police aren't doing anything, then there's nothing to control.
Very strong measures.
Oh, I will, Christina.
And we're looking at other places, too. When you see what's going on in some of these Democrat-run cities, all Democrat-run cities.
Yeah, it's funny how they, the cities with unrest in them, where people feel like they have a voice and can speak, but also the cities with the largest economies. All Democrat-run cities.
Every case, and they go into hell, and we're doing a lot of things to get that changed, and we're going to get it changed very quickly.
Well, if it's a systemic problem and it goes very deep, obviously, then you can't handle it very quickly. There's going to require a strategy and time to deal with it. You see. Complexity. You actually have to do things and then other things and then make sure things are being done and then cover them. Thank you, Mary. I'm making a ringtone in my lap. Thank you.
I'd like to ask our great congressman to say a few words if he understands the situation. He loves this area very much.
As opposed to other areas?
Will constantly...
Yeah, I'm going to say, and I probably shouldn't bring this up, but he hates northeastern Ohio with a passion.
Call me.
And he told me once in confidence, and I hope I'm not saying this, that Arizona is shit.
And if I can't get back to him immediately, he'll call me again. Because he wants money coming here, and he wants a lot of other things coming here, and that's the way a good congressman's supposed to be, right? And he's not a good congressman, he's a great congressman. So,
you mean pork?
If you would, please, Mario.
Mr. President, thank you. If I ever can't get a hold of you, I then harass Mark Meadows, who's an amazing asset to our country. So, let me first to our friends here, the president.
The only thing that makes me smile is people harassing Mark Meadows.
We just came back from Southcom. All of us in this community have known, Mr. President, for years that there's drugs coming in.
Yeah. One of your points of entry is Mar-a-Lago. Check the boat docks at Mar-a-Lago.
People see come.
Same place the Russian pregnant women come in to have anchor babies while staying at Trump Tower. You don't think they come in through normal ports, do you?
Coming in. And yet, because of lack of assets, frankly, lack of leadership, and not...
Ouch.
Supplying the assets, we can't stop them. And so this president has done this surge to Southcom to stop those narcotics from coming.
Huh? See what he's saying about me? Huh? Huh?
And I don't know of anything.
Can I pick him? Guy's kissing my ass.
That could be done as quickly to actually save American lives as the initiative that the president has
just say no
started
ish. Can I sit in? No, I can't. Hold on one second. I gotta fix this. There we are. Done. No? Okay, wait 1 second. I know I'm asking for trouble with this, but give me a second. Oh, good Lord. What is this nonsense? Why not? Why not? Yeah, I do all this stuff on the fly. I'm not afraid. How you doing? Okay.
A little while ago, and it's already bearing fruit. So, Mr. President, thank you for visiting the heroes here at Southern Command, but more importantly, for recognizing a threat to our national security and to the lives of our people, and confront.
You're not talking about the Russian stuff, are you? You're clearly Russian bounties. You're going to bring that up right here with them sitting. I mean, Mr. President, you need to stick your finger in your ears immediately. We need plausible deniability, sir.
It not with lip service, but with action. So.
Ew. There's no lip service here. That's ridiculous. Mike Pence is in Ohio today, I think.
First, I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Sorry. You're welcome.
Second, we're here with friends who are.
Thanks. It's nice to be here. Appreciate it.
Understand, unfortunately, what socialism is all about.
Do they?
We have the daughter of a martyr who was murdered by the Castro regime. We have individuals here who understand that the situation in Venezuela, in Nicaragua, and in Cuba is not only disastrous for those people, but as you have stated so many times, it is a danger, a threat to the national security interests of the United States.
Clearly. Clearly. If we become Venezuela, like if we have a big, listen to him, Mr. President, like if we have some asshole dictator type who wants to use the military to police the citizens, that would be awful. And also, can you imagine if he had like the attorney general, instead of doing, following the law and the Constitution, just acting as a bulwark against him? I mean, it could happen here. I know people think it couldn't happen here, but it could. It really could. You could have some sort of like idiotic looking dictator type. I'm sorry I didn't want to overstep your turn, but if I may, if we're not careful, some orange buffoon might, find his way into the White House and start remaking America in the image of the these horrible dictatorships that we see throughout the world, and these socialist nightmares where the government pays farmers to farm, and more people are on food stamps and in bread lines, than they have been in American history. I mean, this is a concern. I'm sorry. Back to your point, though. Go ahead.
I said it before that.
Yes, I know. I heard you. Same shit over and over again.
This administration has emphasized.
Yeah, and it's pronounced Nicaragua. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Hemisphere, but it's emphasized it in.
Excuse me. We're the patriarchy. It's pronounced hemisphere.
Support for the cause of freedom, not solidarity with those who repress their people.
Stop touching me, okay? Social distancing.
It has shown.
Did tickle, though.
Solidarity with the people, not the oppressors of those people.
Oh. See, Mr. President, that's what you were doing wrong. You were showing solidarity with the oppressors of the people, and important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
By what the president just talked about, sanctions and tough pressure and diplomacy and leadership.
So, tough pressure and diplomacy. How do they?
Mr. President, on behalf of the folks that I represent, and I'm honored to represent, thank you. Those actions are not small.
Thanks for noticing.
The impact on our national security is huge.
You could see it from there? Sorry, I thought the tablecloth covered it.
Impact on the millions of people who are suffering, who now have hope, is immeasurable. History will record you as the president.
Who said Nicaragua. And I mean, thanks for reminding us. You will go down in history as the president who, in front of a group of people from South America who had escaped dictatorships, called it Nicaragua. And that's one for the history books. It's one of those situations where if you heard part of the book on tape, you would ask to hear it underlined.
Who freed this hemisphere from communism and socialism. Those regimes will not last another 4 years of President Trump.
Are we invading them? Are we going to invade Venezuela and Nicaragua? Are we doing that? Or is that what we're... Cool. Should I just grab one of these flags and start charging? Thank you, Lisa Mia Moore. Bless you. By the way, thank you, patrons, for allowing this to happen. I couldn't have flown down here to Florida without you. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Is that on your notes? Mr. President, can you mention that? Thank you.
Convinced of it. And you've seen that others are saying, oh, we're going to go back to the policy of recognizing, legitimizing the Castro regime, knowing what it's like when our president deals, what happens when he has deals with communist regimes, calling people like President Xi Jinping a friend, considering what the Uyghurs have been through in the last few months. Doing in Venezuela and in Nicaragua and in the hemisphere.
Thank you. Waiting for something.
That's unacceptable. So I just.
This guy is very pointy. Should I? I'm not going to cough on him. He'll probably get air droplets in my mouth. I'm negative.
Again, on behalf of the folks that I represent, thank you for standing up for our national security interest, for freedom, and
I stand up for our national security interest and freedom. Just for the record, I do that. I just do it differently than he does. I do it without giving Vladimir Putin a rusty trombone every 3 weeks. You can do it that way. I'm just saying. There's a certain kind of
Moon River. You using the whole fist, Doc?
Kind of diplomacy that the president likes to use when it comes to
for your solidarity for those who are
solidarity. This is solidarity.
Working and struggling, in many cases dying, just to regain their freedoms. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mario. Appreciate it. Great job, you do too.
Oh, thank you. So good. Such a good thing. Wonderful. Please continue. Next person.
Shall we go down the line, please?
Let's just go down the line so I don't have to remember your names and I can't read your name tag from there.
Thank you, President Trump, for having me here today and letting me express my feelings about my homeland, Venezuela. I am proud to be here with so many prominent friends, Orlando, John, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, Rosa Maria Payá, Lorenzo, Lulu.
Yeah, he knows all their names, Trump.
My name is Ernesto Ackerman, and I'm the president of Independent Venezuelan American Citizens, more known as IVAC. My organization has worked over 18 years, very hard, lobbying in favor of Venezuelans in Congress of the U.S.
Okay. By the way, I have no problem with the Venezuelan people who are fighting for, to rid their country of dictatorships and whatnot. So I'm not going to comment on
Venezuela,
what he ends up saying. It's not a big deal.
The Republican.
Hold on, but who?
In your
this guy?
steadfast commitment.
Oh boy.
It's an honor to be here with you and to hear.
It's great to be here with you.
These stories on why the fight for freedom can never be forgotten.
The fight for freedom can never be forgotten. That's the FFBF.
Mr. President, your campaign and the Republican National Committee are building the largest grassroots movement in American history because of you.
No, they're not.
And your steadfast commitment to always put America first for every American.
Yeah, first in cases, first in deaths,
The
first in debt.
Republican Party is growing by the day because Americans know
No, it isn't.
that you're standing
It's actually shrinking. And even then he's still losing in a percentage of his own party.
up for our freedoms and what makes America great.
What does? Go ahead. Tell us what makes America great. That somehow Joe Biden's going to scuttle in his slapdash foot race towards socialism.
Matter the criticism. And because of that, the Republican Party is now the party of freedom.
Oh, now it is. Oh, so you guys are now for a woman's right to choose in gay marriage, and you're for that now?
Thanks to you.
Religious freedom, like if you work for a religious organization, you shouldn't be under the thumb of those religious beliefs, for example. If you're a secular employee, you should have the right, you should be able to get like birth control if you're hired by a Catholic organization but you're not Catholic, that kind of thing.
As we say here, somos el partido de la libertad. We're the party of freedom because we stand for freedom of religion.
Oh, yeah. Democrats stand for freedom of religion as well. I don't know. I think classically we would call that a distinction without a difference.
Freedom of speech.
Okay.
Freedom for the...
Really? So if let's say gay couple wanted to say I do.
Unborn.
Freedom for the
freedom of commerce.
And we believe in the freedom of the unborn. So we're going to give full rights to infants and fetuses. So a toddler is born with all the rights and privileges of an adult, therefore legally all the responsibilities. So you're just the party of pedophilia now. That's what it is. Hey, if kids are adults, I mean, what's the difference, you know? If you can try a child as an adult, why not marry one? Gee whiz.
If it's free, fair, and reciprocal trade, freedom at home and abroad. The Hispanic and Latino community,
he said broad,
in Florida knows the horrors of life without freedom. They've seen firsthand how leaders
what it's like to have Rick Scott
who value control, not freedom.
You mean like the Supreme Court deciding an election even though it turned out in Florida that the other person had won? Those kind of things? Like
destroy prosperity, security, and opportunity. That's what happened in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Nicaragua. That's what socialism does. Mr. President, freedom and faith in...
Yeah, Joe Biden's not a socialist. He beat the socialist. They're incorporating some of the smaller programs. They're no different. The stuff they're asking for, like student loans forgiveness or forgiving the interest on student loans. First of all, the president has suspended all those things during the pandemic through the end of the year. So it's just a matter of time. Secondarily, the education of those people may end up helping the United States gain the jobs of tomorrow. So a highly educated populace is actually in the best interests of the capital structure of this country.
America are now threatened by the same radical left ideology seen in places like Cuba and...
Wait, Cuba wants to take down their Confederate statues?
Venezuela.
Wait a minute. Are there no cops in Venezuela or Cuba?
As that ideology now controls today.
Dude, stop moving your QAnon bracelet so close to the microphone. It's causing interference.
Today's Democrat Party. And the only protector of our American freedom and
Mr. Trump is America's only superhero.
American greatness is you, Mr. President.
And survey says?
That's why everyone around this table and the communities outside of this church are working hard every day to re-elect you as our president for 4 more years.
Why would you have to work hard if he's so great? That's the part I don't understand. I mean, I understand that any, great minds have always, been attacked by inferior minds, but I something like that was Einstein's quote. I had a borderline idea of what that quote was. But if he's so great, why wouldn't everybody just come around to the idea? You know what I mean? It's like the perfect phone call. It was a perfect phone call. Well, a perfect phone call wouldn't be misunderstood as a crime. That would be an imperfection.
We're registering voters.
Yeah, you're going to need to.
We're knocking doors. We're sharing this Republican message of freedom in English, in Spanish, telling folks why you...
Not in Portuguese? Why? All right.
...need 4 more years for America, Mr. President. When you declared before our union that America will never be a socialist country, the words made clear to freedom-loving people across our hemisphere.
Yeah, we're not going to be a socialist country. We have democratic rules applying to our taxation. That's it. Some people loosely call that democratic socialism. They're mistaken. It's a misuse of the phrase. We're not going to have socialism. There's no point where the government is going to take control of, say, farming and oh shit.
That you stand with those who love freedom. And the community...
I love freedom. I'm a big fan.
...here in Doral knows that.
Everyone in Doral knows that? Oh, you mean the people working under the table? The people without visas working illegally at Doral and at Mar-a-Lago? Those folks, they know? I guess they do know. I guess they do.
Huh. Thank you for standing up for America, for standing up for our freedom, for our greatness. Only you can rebuild the economy, this economy, to secure our safety and prosperity.
Jesus Christ. Don't put all your eggs in one goofy orange basket or anything.
If anything happens to you, Mr. Presidente, the tree of liberty will die.
Americans saw historic low unemployment for every community across America under your leadership, including Hispanic and Black Americans. And with God's help and with your leadership, we know that the best is yet to come. Thank you for your time today, Mr. President, and thank you to all the great leaders at this table.
I will give the kid credit for being able to read his statement without breaking off into, there was a thing where, I don't know if you know this, but Democrats and the newspapers, it's fake news. Like, as big a Trump fan as he is, he needs to throw in more bizarre digressions.
I want to get that speech. Do you mind giving me that speech? I could use it.
I should talk about myself. Can you give me that speech? And
yeah, you have to be able to read it. That's the tough part. See, there's not that much difference between what's on his paper and what's on your paper. It's just the pronouns, I think, largely.
How good was this? Oh, who's your speechwriter? You write that yourself? You want to work for me as a nice speechwriter?
Does your ass hurt from him kissing it so hard? I hope he had a close shave.
He's too big. He works for me anyway in a different way. But you've done a great job. That's a beautiful speech. I want to thank you very much.
It's true.
I want it. You think I'm kidding too, don't you?
No, nobody thinks you're kidding.
Thinks I'm kidding.
No, he doesn't think. No one thinks you're kidding. Anybody who you would have someone fillet you in public and hit them in the head with a hammer and congratulate them.
Sure, the Republican Party has grown incredibly from where it was.
No, it hasn't.
And
now the numbers have shrunk.
We have
the Lincoln Project.
A whole different group of people in the
well, that's a good way of putting it.
Republican Party.
Yeah, it's all QAnons.
Like people don't remember. Nobody ever heard of it until I came along. Nobody remembered it for a long time, or they didn't use it. At least I use it all the time. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. You know, you say that, people say, I didn't know that.
Yeah, stupid people. What are you talking about? First of all, yeah, he was a Republican. Okay, anybody who's, maybe there's some Trumpsters or maggots watching right now who didn't know that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. I'll also have you know that because of the Civil Rights era, the Southern Democrats, eventually known as the Dixiecrats, basically switched parties at that point. Because of the Democratic support for the Civil Rights Initiative in the North, the Dixiecrats, the Southern Democrats, switched over and became Republicans. And in total disgust at those people joining what they viewed as the party of Lincoln, those Republicans, those Lincoln Republicans, became Democrats. You can even see that going on today. You could argue that's what the Lincoln Project in its own way is. They're all Biden voters. They're all supportive of a larger Democratic agenda. They switched names. It was three-card, but nobody's lost. And by the way, who in the South that wants a Confederate flag flown or a Confederate statue up still identifies as a Democrat? I bet you a bunch of them go, my granddaddy was a Democrat, but I wouldn't go anywhere near that bullshit. The Democrats started the KKK. Yeah, and those Democrats, Dixiecrats, became Republicans and are to this day. And if you don't know that, you need to get Dinesh D'Souza's dick out of your ear.
But he was a Republican, so we're doing.
Yeah, and in the modern era, he would be a Democrat.
A great job, but that's a beautiful job. I appreciate
it. Are there any Democrats in the South running for office or otherwise that are wearing Confederate flags? Other than, like, maybe some big fans of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please.
Sir, my name is Orlando Gutierrez Bornat. I represent the Assembly of the Cuban Resistance. It's the main coalition.
Awesome, dude. You are whiter than I am. That is amazing. That guy's like a light bulb. He looks like powder with blush. Maybe it's the lighting, but he's practically glowing.
For democracy organizations in the Cuban exile community. And what I want to do is very briefly share with you 4 memories of my life that helped me understand what socialism is, or communism.
Yeah, see, this is all anti-socialism stuff. By the way, not interested in socialism, don't care. As a Democrat, I don't support it. I'm not for it. I believe in taxation with representation. That means we gather our taxes, we vote on where it should go. A lot of what we vote on should be stuff that builds the infrastructure of the country and guarantees the safety and the equal application of the law to everyone, provides the greatest opportunity, and helps us as a nation compete on the global stage. So in the case of Pell Grants and stuff like that, that's not socialism. That's democratic taxation. We want our taxes to go towards building the intellectual infrastructure of the future. Cops aren't socialism. Firemen aren't socialism. It's the democratic application of taxation. We all get to vote on where our taxes go. That, in many ways, go back and look at the Tea Party, for all the Tea Party Republicans who think that they invented this idea. Go back and look at what the primary voice of everybody was at the time. Was you can't take our taxes and spend it on what you want. Taxation and using it to spend on stuff like security and roads and rivers and like aquifers and dams and the like, that's been around for a very long time. But it was at the whim of the dictator. It was at the whim of the leader or the group of leaders, in the case that you had somebody, kind of Rasputining into the leader's ear, right? But in the case of the United States, what makes it, quite frankly, not socialism is the fact that we all get to vote on representatives. Those representatives represent us in smaller groups because we can't just pack and have a mob yelling during the breakdown of this stuff. You have somebody you recognize as an expert in the area and representative of what the majority of the people in an area want. Send them to Washington and they hash out the details of stuff for you and hopefully bring back news that we got what we needed, or we didn't get this, but we got this instead, because it's a democracy. See what I'm saying? That's not socialism like they're talking about it, is what this dickhead is doing, which is he wants a building in a bunch of these countries, so he's throwing all these countries bones so that he can build his own personal wealth for when he's no longer in office.
I want him to be a free man. I'm very proud to be American. I'm very proud to be Cuban because I have a...
I assure you of that.
Oh boy.
Guy sitting to your left, my dear friend. And I cannot forget somebody who's just been promoted very recently, or I hope he gets vetted in front of the Senate.
What's with the proportions on that flag? Did they just get the flag they had was too big for the frame?
Carlos.
Or is that just a leftover background from OAN's live shot?
You're a very young man with a tremendous future. Thank you very much because you've selected those people, and I assure you they will be eternally loyal to you. And they have your back.
Because that's what we want, you know, is a loyal cabinet around a dictator like Messiah character, because that's what democracy is all about.
I assure you of that. Now, my story is very simple.
Boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. Trump grabs girl's vagina, boy lets Trump get away with it.
Always talk about...
It's Ted Cruz's story. I don't know if you know it.
Socialism.
Okay, we'll skip. Again, I don't have a lot of problem with these folks, even if they're Trump supporters. Like, pass, who cares? Everybody's got the right to believe whatever they're going to do. Like,
educated by the Jesuits, he was.
Whoa, what happened?
Idiots.
Wait. Oh, this is saucy. Wait a minute.
All the promises that a guy named Castro gave, and how 99% of the people swallow the pill.
That was Jim Jones, by the way. It's easy to get them mixed up. They both had big, fluffy brown hair.
It took many years later, after I read somebody named Saul Alinsky, that I realized that all those people were nothing but useful idiots. I remember Castro while in the mountains being interviewed and asked if he was a communist. He went crazy.
Wow. By the way, do they not vet who's on these panels? Is anyone who reads Saul Alinsky allowed on this panel?
Dare you, he says. Católico, apostólico, y romano.
I'm a Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholic. Educated by the Jesuits, he was.
Those commie Jesuits again. Assholes. Jeez. The Jesuits created by the Catholic Church to stop people from reading the Bible.
Dare you?
It will read it for you and tell you what's in it. It's a thing we learned from the Mormons.
I have a priest in the mountains. We used to have priests in the mountains. I remember I was the Marist brothers. Christopher Columbus here, for those of you know.
This is a good story.
And
it's a simple tale of Jesuits, Christopher Columbus, the mountains, the Catholic Church, communism. It's a simple story. This old chestnut.
Remember, the Marist brothers used to send young kids to the mountains because it was the second coming of our Lord.
That's not a simple story. I'm just gonna. I don't doubt that he's. I don't doubt that he's completely sincere. But it's not a simple story.
He was gonna save Cuba. I remember how he promised to the farmers, to the Guajiros, that you're gonna own the land.
Wait, he promised the farmers that they could own the land? And don't tell me, there were a record number of farm bankruptcies while he was... Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting him mixed up with somebody else.
I remember...
I will remember the star that came tonight.
All the promises that we hear today.
Yeah. Do you really want to bring up all the promises that we hear today?
About free education and free health care and free land.
Nobody's talking about free anything. This asshole, this is the guy talking about free. Obamacare put a mandate in so everybody had to buy insurance or have it. That's not free. You pay for that so that we all have skin in the game. This is the asshole who took the mandate out and has said he's going to cover everybody with pre-existing conditions. This is the asshole selling free health care. What are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
Oh, well, you don't have to call me that. You can just call me Hal, but I understand.
No freedom.
No freedom.
But he never said that until after he was in power, got rid of all the police, got rid of all the military.
Cuba didn't get rid of all the police and the military. They had tons of police and military. How in the world, stop mocking people of color, colonizer Hal. I'm not mocking people of color. I'm mocking this guy sucking up, and unless you're talking about Trump being a person of color. He does have a color. I will say that. It's vaguely orangish.
Been there for the last 60 years and counting.
But thanks for grouping all Cubans or Latino or Latinx or Latina or Mexican Americans or Nicaraguans or Venezuelans into one big pool of what you view as South Americans in general, under the premise that they all have the same wants, desires, needs, and political interests. Which one of us is creating a bigoted view of a group of people? And which one of us is pointing out that as sincere as this guy is about his problems with Castro, problems I myself share, he's also sucking up to an asshole who would do those very same things if given half a chance, who brags about sending the National Guard and the military into the streets of America to broom out nonviolent protesters amongst the violent protesters and agent provocateurs. You get that? Yeah, and the police were military. That's what he's talking about. Trump is talking about using the military when the local police won't do what he wants. He's talking about free health care in that no mandate, no way of paying for it, no public option, no Medicare for all, but somehow we're going to keep that the idea that pre-existing conditions are covered. No program for that, just the promise. Bullshit. It isn't that this guy's got his problems with Castro are a problem. It's that Trump is the exact same thing he's complaining about. This is nuts.
And he destroyed each and every one who helped him.
By the way, I don't have a problem with churches not paying taxes. As long as they're not involved in political discussions, knock yourself out. You should deal with the spiritual and the moral, leave the political out of it. The minute you get into that, that's a different story.
The Catholic Church. Everybody. And why do I know that? Because I happened to come to this country with the very last 9 cloister nuns from Convento Santa Clara, because he had taken over the convent. And I was on my way to Spain. I wasn't even coming here because I was going to join my brother, who my parents had already sent a few months before, because he was in the age where the government would...
Again, not a simple story. I appreciate what he's talking about, and I think it's horrifying that what Castro did to the Catholic nuns, because they were there to take care of people. Yeah, I get it. But everything that you're clamoring on about Castro, Trump wishes he could do. Bill Barr, anyone?
Take him for indoctrination purposes. My dad, who had experienced the same thing coming from Spain at the turn of the century, running away not from socialism, communism.
Okay. Communist Spain? Okay.
Do better.
I don't doubt that this dude is sincere. I just think he's totally misguided and does not understand who he is talking to. And I think he's been bullshitted into thinking that Democrats are somehow against his freedoms, the very freedoms he's talking about. He's bought into that or been sold this bill of goods so strongly over such a long time that he doesn't even recognize Trump as the very thing he is against. Trump is, he just said, Castro went up in the mountains, they called him a communist, he said, I'm a Roman Catholic. He pretended to be a Catholic, and then he ran the nuns out. He lied about his belief in Jesus Christ as a Savior. He lied about his beliefs about the Bible. He pretended to be a Christian. I mean, Trump can't even name a Bible verse. He goes and he had people cleared out with gas so that he could hold up a Bible as a symbol in front of a church he would never set foot in if he wasn't president and it was just there for photo ops. It's absurd. Is $1.4 billion for the Catholic Church a small business loan? Anything with $1 billion seems like a lot of money. I agree. I think the $1.4 billion is over multiple churches, and they have other programs and employees, like I said, secular programs that employees that they pay for, that those people will lose their jobs if they stop working. And they supply a lot of services to elderly and indigent people and that kind of stuff, and they pay people to do that because of health department rules and all kinds of other stuff. I don't have a problem with them spreading it out over, if it ends up helping people. That's not the point. The point is, Trump is everything this guy is saying Castro was.
Remember when he used to tell my mom, Fefa, this SOB is a communist. My mother says, look, how can you say that? He's Catholic. Look, he's worse. He's got rosary beads all over his neck.
Look, he goes down to, right, and stands in front of the church and holds a Bible up. I say, Mom, this guy's a dictator. He's a fascist. He wants the military to patrol the streets. But she goes, how can you say that? He was holding the Bible up like this. And he said there was 2 Corinthians. Honestly, is this not the... How do you...
It just so happened that when I was in my way to Spain to meet my brother, I was going to go to the Maris brothers.
Okay, I'm going to pass on the rest of this dude's story because it is not a simple story, and bless his heart, I have no problem. Like, this guy's obviously struggled in his life. He's obviously been through a lot, but he's been bullshitted by the Republican Party into thinking that somehow Democrats are pro-communism. He's just bought into a line that he was sold for a long time. This is bullshit.
Very much. That's very nice. And now that you've cut everyone else down to about 1 minute, we appreciate that. Okay, do you mind?
I
Okay,
asked
let's
that.
go.
I asked that, you know.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lourdes Ubieta.
Like, he's not going to give them any extra time. Look, we've only got so long. Wrap it up. Psst. I haven't even been listening.
And I've been working in the media for over 25 years in Venezuela, Latin America, and the U.S. And I'm an immigrant.
And by the way, the person who said I was calling Latin people, I was being a colonizer by making fun of them, you do realize that both people I was talking over have Spanish roots. Do you know where Spain is? Do you think Spain is in South America? You think Spanish is the indigenous language of Mexico? Really? Do we want to grind into that? Huh? Do you know where the term Latin America, where Latin itself as a language came from? It sure as it didn't start in the Oaxacan Valley.
And the victim of socialism, not once but twice. I was born in Venezuela to exiled Cuban parents who escaped the Castro communist tyranny and made a very successful life in other times, prosperous, but always generous Venezuela. For every single Venezuelan, life changed when socialist, corrupt, golpista Hugo Chavez came into power in 1999. After 2 decades of socialism in Venezuela, the country is destroyed.
Fascist dictatorship.
We are a poorer society with a failing purchasing power that limits the market for almost everything. 79.3% of Venezuelan families can't afford the basic food basket. Child mortality has dramatically increased. More than 500,000 households live in ranchos, what we call like favelas. Just 1 out of 4 homes, Mr. President, has running water every day. Just 1.
And yet Venezuela continues to make deals with Russia. And one of the reasons why we have abdicated our role as helping the Venezuelan people under this president is largely because we are getting out of the way for a Russian takeover.
Out of 10 homes.
G.
Has power every day. Out of 7.8 million children in the country, 40% report difficulties to attend school for problems with water supplies, blackout, no food at home, lack of transport, or lack of teachers.
Right, not for it, not against it. What's the policy of this president that differs from any other president the United States has had in terms of bettering lives for the Venezuelan people as best we can as not being members of that country?
The regime with the Cuban.
This is all just like, this is a warning. And we go to this guy.
For the
this is all Biden means socialism. This is how socialism is bad. This is, I mean, it is just ridiculous.
Sacrifice that you and your family have made for our nation.
Sacrifice? Wait a minute. What did he do?
Again, my name is Mario Bramnick. I'm a local pastor in South Florida. We also have the Latino Coalition for Israel following
evangelicals. We're all pro-Israel so that Jesus can come back on the mountain of Armageddon so that we can slit all the Jews' throats and take over, and our God King person can declare himself the Messiah on the ground of the old Temple Mount. You know, good old-fashioned evangelical Christian love for Israel.
Great work.
The same groups of people who, was it 15 years ago, tried to smuggle a nuke in so they could blow up the Temple on the Mount so it can be rebuilt.
Of moving the embassy, and you've been the best friend of Israel that Israel ever has had. Also had the honor of serving on the National Hispanic Advisory Council for 2016 with Jenny Korn, and now
he's a campaign guy. Okay.
And the Advisory Board of Latinos for Trump.
By the way, you're not the best friend of Israel if you put Jared Kushner in charge of a two-state solution or a peace process. Ask Haim Saban.
I cannot,
you know, a person who actually gives a shit about Israel.
Express our gratitude for the sacrifice that you and your family have made for our nation.
What sacrifice? He spent 300 years worth of presidential salary golfing.
And as
he's using the AG to hide his pre-presidential crimes.
Has been shared here. All of the enemies of America are rising inside of America and globally to defeat your presidency in 2020.
2020. Okay, so all the enemies of America are rising in the country and outside the country. Oh, are they now? Where are they sneaking in from? Nicaragua?
You can see.
I'm sorry, Pastor, I didn't mean to say Nicaragua, but he said Nicaragua, so I'm saying Nicaragua.
Because of what God is doing in your life and over your life, it is God's hand as a modern.
And it's not, it wasn't God's hand when Obama was in office? It wasn't God's hand when Bush was in office, or Reagan, or Clinton? Was it God's hand when Carter was in office? Has it been God's hand in Carter's life after he was in office, making him our greatest post-presidency president? Is God's hand, either God's hand's in everything or it's in nothing. But nobody gets special touched from God. Sorry. This blessed life, obviously, like the idea that God, if God wants this dude to be president, he also wants him to be miserable the entire time. I'm not kidding. Like, if this guy believes that God is working through Trump, the work he's doing is, how can I make this guy miserable? The only way he'll ever feel, like if I just, you know, his victim complex will always make him feel kind of like self-righteously full of himself if I just keep him a loser like he deserves it. So you know what? Through the hand of God, I am going to make him the President of the United States, the highest office on earth practically, and the entire time he's still going to be a miserable bastard. If that's the hand of God, God has a better sense of humor than when he created me.
Cyrus, that's upon you. We are so grateful. I was born in...
Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for the super chats today, guys. And thanks for being Patreon subscribers. And thanks for all the bits and all that kind of stuff. Like, bless you. I feel like I've been blazing through this without saying thank you. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the super hearts as well. They're blazing on Periscope today. I'm just saying. You guys are nuts. This is just... I turned on Periscope today just so I could have it in my side view so I could see what was going on. And make sure that we could broom out some of the bots and nutcases, and the hearts have been going nuts. Oh, thanks, Cosmic Rose. I'm glad.
Cuba, and we fled communist Cuba to come to America for the American dream.
Yeah, we're not communists here.
In 2016, after 8 years of Barack Obama.
Whoa, shots fired.
We were afraid what we fled from was coming.
I got a letter, Amy. I don't know if I got the most recent one because my mail is delayed because it bounces through LA and comes to me. So
to the shores.
As soon as I get it, I will see it.
Of America. And now we're being told that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are moderates compared to the new Democratic Socialist Party of Biden, Ocasio, Saunders. I mean, I think we should have a go fund trips to Venezuela and Cuba to see how good socialism would be for our nation.
Yeah, no. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez both have endorsed Biden. They're not running stuff. Sorry. They're representatives. See, as the Democrats, we take all the best ideas and broom out the bad ones. We incorporate everybody in. We have things like the Green New Deal come up, and there may be elements of it that don't work, but elements of it that do. We have the ability to deal with the complexity of those kind of ideas and actually make them functional. See, Joe Biden will be able to actually take that idea and go, you know what, this will never pass, this will pass. That's why Obama brought him in the first place. He's partly why the ACA actually got passed. And when he gets in office, there will be a public option added to that, no doubt. Because the dude can get stuff done. But meanwhile, more food stamps for people than any other president in history. Right there. This guy.
It's unheard of. None of us here.
Yeah, we dumped $6 trillion on the economy in 8 weeks. Tell me what socialism and communism look like.
Would have ever imagined that we would be seeing what we are seeing.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Here now. I mean, it's really the socialist, anarchist, anti-Christian party.
No, anarchists don't vote. and if they're the anti-Christian party, why is Biden, a Catholic, actually the nominee? If we're anti-Christian, why'd we broom the Jew? Why did we broom the relative atheists? I guess Andrew Yang would qualify in that regard, right? If we're the anti-Christian party, why is there a Christian at the top of the ticket?
The good thing is that the American public has a clear description of what we're up against.
Yes, we do. He's orange. He's right there. He's been farting this entire time. Everybody's happy about the social distancing. He just picked up a kilo of blow from Mar-a-Lago or Doral, and he's going to snort it all the way back on Air Force One.
The Castro government murdered my wife's father when she was 5. We visited Cuba.
Yeah, by the way, Castro sucks. Also, did anybody else notice what I was saying during the primaries? That Julian Castro, when he was running, the biggest problem that he has running for office is his last name? Remember me bringing that up? Remember me bringing up that it wasn't that the American people, especially Democrats, weren't comfortable with the idea of a Hispanic nominee for president at all. Bill Richardson was said to have had a shot when Hillary was running the first time. Remember that? During Kerry, Richardson had a real shot at it. Remember that? It was the last name Castro that was hanging him up, and it wasn't with the white people. in Florida.
A year ago, and there's such poverty and misery where professionals make $80 a month. There's shortages of all kinds of food, and they live in buildings that would be unsafe structures here in America.
Yeah, you want to tell us about Yemen too? And why don't you tell us about Canada? Tell us what people make and live on and what professionals make in Canada, especially in the medical fields and and elsewhere. Like, do you want to dive into that? You want to just talk like successful multinational countries versus dictatorships? And
thank you for cracking down on the Castro regime.
Sweden and Norway both have monarchies. They do better per capita than Americans do. Why are you not touting monarchies then?
And reversing Obama's détente. We as Cuban Americans are grateful and applaud that action.
No.
Under a Biden administration, he would undo that action and begin to support the communist regime.
No, they would just normalize relations so that business can be done back and forth between the country, hoping that in a very kind of, quite frankly, old-fashioned Republican way, that business moving in would actually lure people into a free market system and away from communism or socialism. You guys used to believe that.
Thank you. Before COVID-19, we had the best record Hispanic unemployment of 3.9%.
It's amazing. If he hadn't dismantled the pandemic response team, maybe it wouldn't have taken a shit so bad. Maybe it's a leadership problem. Maybe those numbers, like every other unemployment number, have been going in that direction since 2010. And, quite frankly, line up with the same growth cycle if you take out the dip because of what Bush and his assholes did.
Lowest poverty rate amongst Hispanics, and the Hispanic median income was best than ever. We're seeing an amazing economic turnaround, and you, Mr. President, are our best hope to make...
Easy, dude. Your mustache is going to tickle his butthole.
America great again. There's no one else that...
Make America great again. This is literally the Tug Speedman presidency. This is Scorcher 4. Here we go again.
Do what you did, and we know you're already doing it now. And I've been with you so often. We love you.
You what? Been with you so often.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Te amamos mucho. I know your heart for the Hispanics. I know your heart for the immigrants. I know your heart for the African Americans.
Even if your words say something else, I know your heart.
I was with Pastor Paula at the beginning, and I said...
Paula White. This is a train wreck. Yes. This is all they have for Biden. Stable genius Trump isn't playing 3D chess anymore. No, this is it. This is the wholesale point. Socialism. They're going to push socialism. Why? Because Biden beat Sanders and is going to, more than likely what he's going to end up passing is a huge reduction in the interest on government or federal-owned student loans. That's what's going to happen. Please tell me about socialism this time next year.
At the end of your terms,
you're just worried, you're just worried about that whole undoing of the Johnson rule.
You will be known as a champion for Hispanic Americans and for African Americans, and I believe all will know, because I know your heart and your labor for our community. Thank you. We had the honor of being with you yesterday at the Rose Garden.
Oh, God. All right, skip. Next person. We can't just do these guys all day.
Balance.
Okay. All right.
Of press, and yet...
Oh, my
Then
God.
return to my country.
Hi.
But due to the political disaster in Venezuela, we decided to choose an American residency and stay in Miami. I was lucky to invest in the gastronomic field, which was a hobby for me, but it became a reality, and so I was one of the owners of it.
Trump is just like, oh, whatever. I'm not
Your accent's too heavy. I can't gather it, so I'm just going to doze off if you don't mind.
Paso. As the business was growing and due to fire in El Paso 2 was created. And in less than a year, the partnership dissolved.
Bless his heart, I don't have a problem with this, the sincerity of what they actually think about this, but the truth is that everything that they're clamoring on about Venezuela and Castro, this asshole's doing every day. I don't know what the gastronomic fill thing was.
And truly honored.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thanks, beautiful. Didn't hear a word of it.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And truly honored to be here as a voice for freedom of the Cuban people and among so dear friends. Thank you, Mr. President, for meeting with us today, for your friendship, and for standing with us, the Cuban people.
I'm going to put this away.
Who wants to be free to decide.
I want to be able to get out of here as quick as possible, and I can't leave my notes behind because they have a drawing of you.
Own destiny.
Hold on. Wait. It's probably a mistake, but hold on. There we are. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President, also, for your historic actions to support democracy in Cuba and to pressure the cruel communist dictatorship. Our Cuban people suffer constant oppression.
Are you sniffing my shoulder?
From the socialist state. For more than 6...
Yeah, we're not going to make America socialist. We just believe in democratic taxation. Yeah. It's just a little more complicated, so people tend to use socialism as a placeholder word. But if you want to talk about like the federal government owning the means of, say, I don't know, farming, for example, and paying farmers to farm or not to farm, do we really want to get into that today?
Decades, communist Castro regime has imposed the culture.
What were you leaning at? Did you just grab Mario's backside?
Of
what am I, choplifter?
Exclusion and the discrimination against any Cuban with a divergent expression. They abolished our civil liberties, our freedom of faith and of speech. They tried to delete our history, our faith, and our culture.
At what point is the Obama administration, by opening up relations with Cuba, working with a group that eliminated your culture and your history? Don't you think there'd be more of a chance for people who are Cuban Americans to travel back and forth with the protections, both legally and socially, of the United States and the rights and privileges of being U.S. citizens, that if they went over there and, say, the Cuban regime kind of locked somebody up for saying the wrong shit in a bar, the American people would have a word or two about that, you would think. Right? Yeah?
Castro regime tied the hands of the Cuban people.
Kinky.
To make us poor and dependent. Because communism mutilates the human soul in
Ricky Lake? What about Ricky Lake?
order to control the society. And those who raise their voice in favor of freedom, in favor of justice, those are risking prison and even death.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to open up relations between the two countries, because you can't do that with Cuban Americans, you know, if they go over there.
This July 22nd will mark 8 years since my father.
Oh yeah, we'll be getting into Roger Stone's shit tomorrow. Yeah, he commuted it.
Oswaldo Paya was assassinated.
You know, that's something that, like, dictators do. You know, their co-conspirators get thrown in jail, and they use the legal system in a way that the average citizen can't to protect themselves and anybody who is committing crimes on their behalf. They get them out of jail while jailing their opposition or calling for previous leaders to be jailed. You ever heard of something like that in Cuba?
By the communist regime. My father founded and led the Christian movement for liberation. He was a leader of the political opposition, but he was also a moral leader to thousands and thousands of people who demand their right to have a voice.
Don't cross your arms. It seems it's seen as kind of dismissive. It's bad body language, Mr. President. It looks like you're bored and cold and annoyed.
And participate to change the system. He was the most generous man I ever met. And
excuse me, do you know who you're talking to?
he was killed by the communist regime. They were trying to kill his legacy because they were in fear of the faithful, in fear of the conviction of a silent majority awakening and demanding freedom.
Oh, the silent majority. You've tweeted about them. They're good. You should see what she did there. They've been listening. She's been reading your tweets. Twitter has a translate feature.
And although they were...
You can translate it from like Pig Latin or gibberish into English, Spanish, most known languages. So, please continue.
Although the communist regime was able to kill my father, they were not able to kill his legacy. They were not able to extinguish the resolve of our people to secure our liberation. On the contrary, our resolve is stronger than ever. We carry on his work. Our movement grows faster every day. We will not relent until we are free. We are going to finish what he and many others started.
And one of the things that they were really shooting for is that the United States and Cuba never, ever engage in travel and trade, because America would never allow flights back and forth between China and the,
I'm a freedom fighter, but there are many of us among Cuba, and in this table also.
He doesn't know what you mean. He just smiled. That's his, I don't know what you're saying, smile. He uses it a lot.
And I know that you, Mr. President, you are also a fighter for the freedom of the United States.
I am a fighter. I've had to fight the whole time. It's so boring. I would rather, I'm a golfer, not a fighter.
State and the freedom of the world. Mr. President, I invite you to join me in commemorating July 22nd to honor the victims of communism in all the Americas. To honor all of those who have fought and died defending democracy in Venezuela, in Nicaragua.
I'm for that. Yeah. This is me saluting everyone who's died fighting communism in South America and the Americas throughout. I'm for it. Pro-democracy all the way. Happy now? He seems a little bored. But I agree with you. I salute people who have fought communism in our hemisphere and others. Absolutely. Also dictatorships and fascists. I also appreciate those folks. All the soldiers that stood for that flag that this asshole keeps groping like it's some woman he met on a plane.
Cuba and in other parts of our continent also.
She is following the no sleeves rule. That is true.
It is important, it's vital to raise our voices.
He's doing, look at him. Don't line up your pen. That's what people do when they're trying to stay focused and they're bored. It's what happens when someone's blathering on a phone call and you sit there seeing how much you can line your pen up with the crease. It's rude. It's clear that you're not paying any attention. Sorry, ma'am. I'll let you go on in a second, but that's embarrassing. Look at him. He's playing with his pen. At a cast read-through, we know that means somebody's reading a script like this. Bullshit, bullshit, my line. Bullshit, bullshit, my line.
To call for liberation of the political prisoners and to stop the impunity of the Castro.
I got a little, look, if I push my vein on my hand, Look, you ever push your veins back and forth and one of them moves on either side of the tendon, keep talking. This is fascinating.
The same impunity that Castro felt when he killed my father, thinking that the world was not going to react.
Let me straighten my pen.
Mr. President, Cuba is in crisis.
Wake up.
Families are living through a deep humanitarian crisis and political repression. A crisis caused by the existence of a corrupt and criminal regime.
You would think we as a democracy would want to engage with the people there so that the people know that, you know, we're worthwhile, you know, that our system is superior, that even the people of Cuba might decide, hey, we might need to move our system a little closer to that one because it's so great by comparison if they really got to see it. But if you want to North Korea this whole thing, sounds like a great plan.
A regime that has nothing to offer to their own people but repression and violence. And that's what they are implementing right now against
Actually, those don't sound too bad.
citizenry.
Oh, that we're not far from an SNL skit with this. I mean, this is...
People are being
I mean, she only got invited because she kind of looks like Judge Janine.
detained, threatened, stripped from their cell phones, even physically assaulted, beaten up in the streets, taken to prison, simply for taking a photo in the streets or posting in social media. That's the level of fear. And
Wait a minute, for tweeting, I would almost stop pushing my pencil. Look at him, look at his fingers. Dude, what are you doing? Listen to her. But look, if I hold the pen like this and I focus away and focus to it and focus away and focus to it. Should we do pen tricks now? Ah! Oh, whoa, that's, huh? It's better than his trick. What do you want from me?
of the Castro regime right now. This is why your solidarity.
I don't think he's ever been more bored, ma'am. And it's not your fault. I would like to say, for the record, and I mean this sincerely, I, Hal Sparks, comedian extraordinaire, and, you know, obviously an actor whose time still is to come. I would like, thank you, Melinda. I would like to apologize on behalf of my president, who is dicking around with his pen while you're talking about the fact that your father was killed by the Castro regime, for speaking out in support of democracy. Human to human, you know, I joke around on this show, but human to human, that's fucked up and it's wrong. And I feel bad for you, and I support your desire for more democracy in Cuba. We just differ on how it happens. And this asshole, if Castro, the original Castro, was in charge right now, he'd call him a very strong leader, and you can't argue with success.
And the humanitarian help and the economic opportunities that Cuba needs should be directed only towards the Cuban people.
Yeah, that's why they opened up markets as well. There were limitations on travel and the like. That was the whole point. That was why the structure was in place, that like people could, it was more tourism and familial connection, which really does show up in terms of money going into those folks, and then opening those people their ability to come to the United States. See?
Preventing intervention from the regime, because the repressors should be.
Yeah. Don't do the weird Castro dictator arm crossing while she's telling you the story.
Cut out.
He's just, look, he looks bored.
When is this over?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Honest to God, if I was sitting right here in real life, I would be apologizing to you, even though we're politically on opposite sides of the aisle in your mind, not in my mind, but in your mind, because I believe in democracy. I want your people to be as free as the people over here, at the very least. But this jackass is finding your story a little dry. He's not impressed. And his decision to do like full Mussolini body language is friggin' baffling.
And on you, Mr. President, to continue shutting down all of the dictatorship sources of funding, which it uses to sustain the Cuban military, its apparatus of oppression, and its
Look at this. When will this be over? Does he know he's on camera?
narco-terrorist activities.
She said narco-terrorist, by the way, just in case you weren't following along.
Mr. President, this hemisphere has paid a high price.
Yeah, isn't this nuts, Richard? It's like...
For tolerating 6 decades of Castro communism in Cuba.
He was over this 5 speakers ago.
A regime that has...
And by the way, these listening sessions, these are people giving speeches. There's no discussion. He's going to leave. I haven't seen this. We always watch these raw. I watch them with you. That's what makes this show amazing, is that you and I watch this together. So all the stuff that I bring up or I point out or I address is in real time. So, you know, I don't have a army of Daily Show writers or anybody else helping me along, filling in my intellectual and educational gaps. That's my responsibility. Right? John Oliver. Love you, man. I don't have any of that. I don't have people faxing me or texting me or DMing me jokes. This is it. This is just you and I. Just us. You watch the show with me. We talk about this stuff. We don't let him get away with this nonsense. But, all right.
Cost the end of the democracy in Venezuela.
But he can't even be bothered. Look at this. Like, he is completely bored. Couldn't give less of a shit. He's staring off into the middle distance right now. Kill me now. He's just like, I can't even playing with my pen is a hollow exercise.
Venezuela and in Nicaragua, and the largest refugee crisis of our lives.
Look at him. Stop lining your pen up, dickhead.
Ended.
Look at that.
The regime.
If I hold it with both fingers, voomp. Look at that. It's like kind of a magic. Like there's got to be a magic trick there. It's kind of like this business. Is that? Can I make that gesture at you? Hello. Look at him. What the fuck is he doing? What is that?
That infiltrated societies to spread chaos, hate.
This is pathetic.
And division. And this.
She's talking about some serious shit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, watch this." Oh, pen's gone. I don't know if you saw that. Pretty amazing.
Lies. They are democratic governments throughout the hemisphere and also here in the United States. Throughout the use of propaganda, the communist ideology.
Don't say propaganda in front of him. He's a fan.
Has contaminated the minds and soul of young people in Latin America.
Young people, not your people.
And in the United States. It is time to tell them the truth.
Here it comes. Here comes the truth. The truth is, this is not my favorite kind of pen in the world. It isn't. I prefer the kind that have a little side grip or, Sharpies. Because basically I'm just autographing things now. I don't, pens are for little people. Thanks, Patty.
Trump, this dictatorship threatens peace and security
Don't say piss in front of... Oh, it's your accent. I'm begging your pardon. You got his attention for 1 second.
Continent.
I'll show you piss and security. Want to go back to my place?
No.
Sorry.
They are involved in criminal and terrorist-related activities. Drug trafficking.
To him, piss and security is the Secret Service are outside while he has the hookers pee on the bed.
Trafficking persons through the communist...
Yeah. Trump just commuted the sentence of Roger Stone. We saw that a little bit earlier. I will be discussing that on the radio show tomorrow, the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820 if you're in the Chicagoland area. If not, you can watch here. I'll be on tomorrow. We'll be talking about this. He had to commute it because he couldn't pardon him because pardoning requires an admission of guilt. He's just getting him out of jail. Hopefully, to bring him in on the campaign again, to commit the exact same crime. Please send him back to jail. Let the trial go on after he gets kicked out of office and Rogers goes back to jail for doing the same shit. They are literally the hubris.
Radical brigades, corruption, providing sanctuary and support to terrorists. Mr.
Thanks you guys for filling up the cup today.
President, I encourage you to indict Raúl Castro, Díaz-Canel, and all top officials of the regime. And very importantly,
oh shit,
I encourage you to designate the Cuban military.
You don't tell me what to do. I tell you, don't start giving him orders right now. He's not receiving that very well. You're telling him what to do and he doesn't. You do realize you're a woman, right? You can't, he's not, even if it's a good idea, you got to give him some distance. You got to slide him a note and let him pretend it was his idea. Otherwise,
Intelligence services.
He'll give that dude a cabinet position just to show you for even as it. Like he's literally thinking about the car right now.
And the Cuban Communist Party as foreign terrorist organizations because their relation with the crime and the narco-terrorism threatening the region.
He's gone back to pushing the vein on his hand. This is not good, ma'am.
Our movement, Cuba Design.
How much of that page is left? He just looked up. Did you see that? He was like, she isn't, how many more pages? Is that the last page? Is it double-sided?
It's a national and global initiative.
Oh, God, it's double-sided. Shit.
To force the Cuban regime to submit to the will of the people and leave. It is imperative that all the nations in the free world support the Cuban people's fight for a change. Because the victory...
Well, she pronounces change like he pronounces United States. See, you do have something in common, you guys.
The democracy in Cuba is essential to open the path to peace, prosperity, and stability in the whole hemisphere.
Yeah, he likes my mullet. You like the fullness? It's only puffs out like yours does, Mr. President, because I've got headphones on. I'm wearing these bone conductor headphones, and they push it forward. But it looks better from the front than if I've got headphones in, and it keeps the feedback issue. Take a whiff of that.
Mr. President, my father, in a letter to...
Christ, your father again. Pen, save me, pen. Save me, pen. Woo! Look at that. Magic pen. I'm sorry.
Congress to the United States, he said that we Cubans, we want to be free.
Free as this pen.
And we want to be friends with the American people.
Uh-huh. Cool. Yeah. So one of the steps might be to normalize relations. I mean, honestly, if, let's say, North Korea and the United States allowed people from North Korea to come travel to here, and we could travel to North Korea, might be a long step towards opening that country up instead of it being sealed off. Obviously, the president is cool with sending Dennis Rodman. Why couldn't he send Dennis Rodman? Why can't Dennis Rodman go to Cuba if he wants to? You don't think it's going to help? Thanks, Frankie. Thank you, Beverly. Save me, Pen. Save me from her drivel.
Please accept.
Uh-oh. A gift.
This coffin link.
Oh, I'll pass it on to him.
With the coat of arms of the Republic of Cuba as a symbol of the friendship between our...
He's not going to touch it. That was, just so you know, she set that right down in front of where I am. She set that on the... Here, hold on. I got to move me out of the way. Look, she put it on the table. And he's not touching it. Dude is so scared of COVID, he's not going to touch those cufflinks. Holy shit.
Two people, and also as a symbol of our appreciation for your actions and your solidarity. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. I'll have one of my people pick it up because I don't want to catch anything from you, you
Nasty woman.
Mr. President. And looking forward to working together with you very soon
He's straight up not touching it.
for the streets of a free Cuba. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank everybody. I will not forget what I heard today.
Why am I doing
it's
that?
very moving. It's a very tough situation, and we've made a lot of progress, as you probably have seen and you know.
But I'm not going to touch those things. They're dirty and filthy. Filthy, dirty, dirty, filthy. Absolutely, I wear cufflinks. I have some great cufflinks. Once I started having to dress up for Masons, I needed ties and cufflinks and all this stuff I used to pass on. But I used to have some pretty punk-looking cufflinks for when I would do some... It's another story for another time.
And I have a feeling you won't be disappointed.
Really? You have a feeling? I got a feeling.
And by the way, 2020 is very important.
Remember, that's the only reason I sat through this bullshit was and pretended to listen to you while I played with my pen. You guys have to vote for me. Otherwise, you know what that means. Joe Biden, socialism, Venezuela in America. There's going to be riots in the streets, statues being defaced, a pandemic, huge government bailouts, $6 trillion in new debt. You watch. If Biden gets, oh shit.
Very important, so.
Is it? Really? To whom? To you? Obviously not important enough for you to make your ears the same color as your face.
Good luck to everybody.
Good luck with 2020 and your socialism.
Thank you. Really a good job. Beautiful job. I won't
Good job telling those speeches and kissing my ass.
forget. You have a great representative right here. So Mario will be speaking. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Yeah, just left. No plans, no working group, no round table where he's like, what do you feel like this is? How's this experience? I mean, the only time I don't know if you guys have noticed this, anytime he does one of these round tables or one of these gatherings, the only time he actually engages in this back and forth language that he talks about, where he's like asking questions to the people he has there, are like, are Idaho potatoes, can you grow those in New Hampshire, the kind of potatoes that they have in Idaho? Can you grow those? Like, you guys have seen this. We've all been through this. We've watched this shit over and over again. Yes, he has a sleepy voice. He's passing out at the table. But please tell me more about Sleepy Joe. Also, he's been involved. He was against the auto bailout, which was a loan they paid back, and the bank bailout, which was a loan the Fed made money on. But he's dumping $6 trillion on the economy, and Mnuchin says they're just going to forgive all the loans over $2 million. How many small businesses that got their $2 million loan or below are going to pay those off, the bread and butter loans? But anybody who got $10 million or $1.5 billion, they're going to forgive them or forgive portions of them? How is that not old-fashioned Venezuelan socialism? But the only time he engages in this he only likes speeches that praise him directly. No shit. Just like, thank you all for those well-crafted ass kissings. Oh shit, wait a minute. Please tell me this is happening. What is this?
Thank you very much.
Oh, we're running late today, kids.
I guess I might begin.
You might. You're the commander-in-chief and the only one not wearing a mask, so it's probably your turn to speak.
It's an honor to be with you.
Not honored enough to hope my speech was upside down.
Really brave men and women. The job you do is incredible, and the progress you've made in the last short period of time has been unbelievable.
What kind of progress? What's that different? They always do a great job. Southcom kicks ass. Border Patrol, all those people, that's a tough job. There's definitely, just like police departments, there's some shitty guys involved in that. There's some racists and bigots who've weaseled their way in because they think it's the dream job. But the vast majority of them are doing excellent work, no question. But please, pretend you invented it.
On April 1st of this year,
I announced the launch of a powerful U.S. military and law enforcement operation to combat the flow of illegal drugs across the Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
Today I'm pleased to be with Admiral Craig Fowler and his team, done an incredible job.
So they're going to come out and talk about shit they've been doing for years as if it just happened.
At the U.S. Southern Command headquarters to provide an update on this incredible successful effort. We're joined by Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. Thank you, Mark. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf. Chad, thank you. Thank you. Commandant of U.S. Coast Guard Admiral Carl.
Why are your hands in your lap? Why are you going to... Is this before or after the other working group? Because I need to know how tired.
Schultz.
The story about Amy Goodman when she was in East Timor has always stuck with me. I'm not a fan of, like, some of the flailing Democracy Now! Does on occasion, but she's a gem, no question. She's the single reason Democracy Now! Is maintains its importance regardless of of any abstractions. She's an incredible person.
Associate Deputy Attorney General.
She's why I always gave to KPFK on their fund drives.
Amanda Liscombe. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda.
Liscombe, not Liscombe. Jesus.
Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart.
Yeah, the guy you just introduced.
Who is a friend of mine for a long time. Thank you very much, Mario.
Yeah, how long's a long time? Since you guys lost the 2018? Like that long?
Great job you're doing down here. And many, many others, leaders and military.
I've been friends with him since the midterm when he was one Republican that I could say we got in there.
Geniuses and people that do a fantastic job.
Oh, fantastic job. That's a new phrase. We haven't heard that one before.
In just 12 weeks, Southcom's surge operation conducted.
What are they hiding with the President of the United States seal? If you notice that they normally stick it on the front of the thing, but he's having it like raised higher and higher. Does he think he's being shot from straight ahead and that it's covering his gut? Is that what's happening? Or it can hide him playing with his pen while other people are talking?
Key regional partners has resulted in more than 1,000 arrests and the interdiction of 120 metric tons. I can only tell you that's a lot.
I don't know what I like, but I know a metric ton when I hear one. Let's see. I'm gonna have to look something up while he's talking. Let's see. Let's just go with, I don't know, 2014. Southcom seizes. See what that comes up as. Washington, March 13th, 2014. Let's just, let's see what that says. More ships equals more drugs seized, Southcom commander says. U.S. Department of Defense. This is, oh, and John Kelly was, you'll remember him, when he was in charge of Southcom under Obama. Though drug interdiction looms large among U.S. Southern Command's responsibility, it isn't the only national security role filled by the command. The Southcom commander said today during a media briefing at the Pentagon, "It's a big part of what I do," Marine Corps General John F. Kelly said, former chief of staff to the president, you'll recall. But it's one of the three things I do the most. Engagement with the countries in Latin America and the Caribbean are running into and running the Guantanamo naval base and prison in Cuba are Kelly's other major duties, he said. Comment testimony earlier today, the Senate Armed Services Committee, Kelly said the lack of assets means he is forced to watch 72% of suspected drug traffic freely go through his area of responsibility, so they added more ships in 2015. Let's see. FBI, intelligence, South Carolina charge, 50 state border crisis, El Mexico thing. Operation Martillo is a multinational anti-drug operation that began on April 25, 2012 and aims to combat international drug trafficking, enhancing regional security and promote peace, stability, prosperity through Central and South America.
The United States Southern Command, Joint Interagency Task Force, the JATF in Key West, Florida, worked with countries like Belize, Canada, Colombia, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, the Netherlands, Nicaragua, Panama, Spain, United Kingdom, and the United States, whose Southcom had point on it, an Operation Martillo. And that was under Obama. Let's see, in addition to Southcom, the U.S. Coast Guard and the Navy and the Marine Corps and the U.S. Air Force all provided resources to the operation, as well as drug enforcement and law enforcement agencies. The result was, between January 2012 and April 2013, 171 tons of cocaine and 28,000 pounds of marijuana detained. They detained 411 criminal suspects, recovered $7.4 million in laundered cash, and seized or destroyed 139 speedboats, fishing vessels, aircraft, pangas, and drug trafficking submersibles, otherwise known as submarines. Between January 2012 and May 2015, 515 tons of cocaine and 117,754 pounds of marijuana have been seized, worth US $8 billion to drug organizations. Has also led to the arrest of 1,348 people. And between January 2012 and February 2017, 693 tons of cocaine, 25 million in cash, and 581 vessels and aircraft were detained, and 1,863 detainees were arrested. Weird. So there was a Southcom doing this kind of shit all along. It's almost as if he wants credit for a system that was already in place.
Of narcotics worth billions and billions of dollars.
How many billions? Because I'm looking at, 8 billion.
We're determined to keep dangerous drugs out of the country and...
Dangerous jugs. Out of the question. Out of the country. Oh, dangerous jugs. Don't make a Stormy Daniels jokes. Don't make a Stormy Daniels joke. Don't make a Stormy... Oh.
From our children, we're securing our seas. We're securing our borders. This is a new operation, not been done before.
No, it hasn't. What's it called? Operation, is this Operation Farting Eagle? Oh, sorry. My thing isn't hooked.
And this operation has been incredibly successful. As you know, in the United States, at least before the
China plague,
COVID came to us, the flu.
Drugs were at an all-time high. We had great...
The virus, the China virus, whatever you'd like to call it, it's got many different names.
COVID-19 works.
But before...
SARS-CoV-2 would also be good. Although SARS-CoV-2 is actually what causes COVID-19. But, you know.
It hit, we were doing really well, and we're still doing very well, but now we're getting back on track. Last year, 70,000 precious American lives were taken because of the poison the cartels bring into our country.
Actually, the cartels were pushing meth because heroin contained more fentanyl, and it was leading to more fentanyl deaths, and it was killing their customer base. Fentanyl, as we know it, is coming in because of China, interestingly enough. And it's not coming in through the southern border. It's coming through ports and packages.
Under my administration, drug overdose deaths fell for the first time in nearly 30 years, and they fell fairly substantially.
Because so many people died in such a short order of time, we literally were running out of addicts. This is like when the DEA in its early days, they used to make jokes in the 50s and 60s that there were like 19 FBI agents all trying to bust the same drug user undercover. There's like one heroin user and 19 fibbies pretending to be drug users.
Fortunately, the shutdowns caused by the China virus have led to a recent rise in overdose deaths, still below the level that...
But enough about hydroxychloroquine.
They were at, but nevertheless, it went up a little bit. This is one of the reasons that we're working to safely and responsibly.
Why would they go up if Southcom was handling the southern border and China seas? I don't... If they're handling the waters around Florida and all these places, if that's where it's coming from, and the border crossings are at an all-time low, why would they...
Reopen our country, reopen our schools, get our country going again.
Get those overdoses back up to 2017 numbers.
We're setting records on jobs. We're setting records on many different things. We're going to have.
No, you're not. No. A job, going back to a job you had that stopped is not a new job.
Great.
No one has ever set a record with here's your record: 11% unemployment, $6 trillion in 8 weeks.
Third quarter is going to be tremendous numbers. Fourth quarter, likewise. And next year, economically, will be one of the best years we've ever had. But you'll see the numbers starting to come out really, really high in the third quarter.
Yeah, they said similar things in 1918 at the beginning of the Spanish flu.
And you've already seen the record-breaking job numbers. NASDAQ just...
They're not record-breaking job numbers. People going back to work. If 11 people lose their job, and 3 of those people go back to work, you do not have 14 jobs in the country now.
Hit recently about 12 record highs, 12 days record highs.
Yeah, because that's foreign money, and investors all over the world are looking for anywhere to put their money but their own countries.
The other markets are right behind it. They'll be.
But what are people investing in?
Hitting records hopefully very shortly also. That means people have a lot of confidence in what we're doing. With the help.
No, they don't.
The heroes here at Southcom, Coast Guard, CBP, DEA, and law enforcement will work relentlessly to seize illegal
all right.
drugs, arrest vile traffickers. The traffickers are truly vile. They're
good. It says vile traffickers on the paper. So tell us, are they vile?
Terrible, terrible people. What they...
Oh, terrible. That's what vile means. I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought it was like a vase, but it's smaller.
Do mostly to women and children, but women.
Drug traffickers?
And dismantle criminal cartels who are responsible for...
This is about drug trafficking.
Deaths of thousands and thousands of Americans. I'd like now to introduce Secretary Esper to say a few words. Mark, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
And good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can I keep one of these on the way home? Is this tar or has this stuff been stepped on? What kind of bullshit haul is this?
To discuss the successes of our enhanced counter-narcotics operation.
Oh, boxes of evidence. Look, you know it's evidence. It's got DEA evidence written on it. Just in case you're watching a heist movie in the future and you're like, who the shit would put DEA evidence on the side of a box during a drug heist movie? Like the third sequel to Bad Boys is going to suck.
In the Eastern Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean.
I don't do heroin. It's a loser drug. Only speed.
And sea. The Department of Defense began this initiative alongside our interagency partners at the President's direction.
What are you talking about? Had you stopped? Hey, can you knock off all the Southcom stuff for about 8 weeks? I'll let you guys know when you can start again. And no boats around Mar-a-Lago or Doral, okay? I've got some scuba guys coming in.
As part of our whole of government effort to...
You don't say whole of government unless Mike Pence is there.
Moon River. Combat the flow of illicit drugs into our country and to protect the American people.
Foreign Sudafed is okay, right? Just asking for a friend's drawer.
Transnational criminal organizations have destroyed far too many American lives by smuggling heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamines into our country, leading to drug overdoses and addiction in our communities. Moreover, the profits derived from these activities support a range of bad actors.
Why would you bring out these bricks of, I guess we're talking heroin? Is that what that is, or do we know?
From cartels in Mexico to the illegitimate Maduro regime, which continues to oppress the Venezuelan people. Despite the challenges posed by the
this is really isn't about drugs. This is about Venezuela. What?
Coronavirus pandemic, our enhanced counter-narcotics operations have shown great success in countering...
Great success. Don't forget.
Those threats by disrupting the flow of illicit drugs, denying our adversaries financial resources, and strengthening the capacity of partner countries in the region.
Oh, you mean like Operation Martillo, which incorporated
Belize, Canada, Colombia, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, the Netherlands, Norway, Panama, Spain, the United Kingdom, and United States? Like that kind of partnerships?
Since the end of March, we have employed in the U.S. Southern Command area of responsibility 75% more surveillance.
I have a quick question. Do you pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side?
Aircraft and 65% more ships than normal for drug interdiction. These additional...
Okay, you've done all that, and you're bringing in basically the same amount of drugs that were brought in with fewer ships.
Assets include 4 Navy destroyers, 5 Coast Guard cutters, and 8 aircraft.
8 aircraft? Or 8 aircraft carriers?
Nearly a dozen Navy and Coast Guard ships and over 15 aircraft from across the interagency are supporting our efforts.
Yeah. Just like before.
In addition to security forces deployed to the region.
Honduras news. Honduras participation in Operation Martillo a success. World Maritime News. Royal Netherlands Navy conducts Operation Martillo. Dutch Navy led operation results in 500 kilogram cocaine drug bust. Colombia coca leaf production up by 44%. UN, oops. Centam drug initiative boasts questionable victories in 5th year.
Further, we have successfully engaged.
So it was going on for 5 years. They were starting to run out of drugs to catch.
And encouraged 22 partner nations to join us in this fight and step up their involvement in drug interdictions.
And did they?
As a result of these enhanced operations,
I yelled out the front window of my house for people to stop watching their television so loud. I should get points for asking them all to watch TV quieter.
Southcom and our interagency and international partners have disrupted more than 122 metric tons of cocaine, as well as over 18,000 pounds of marijuana. We denied nearly $2 billion in drug profits, increased our targeting of known smuggling.
Yeah, basically on par with exactly the numbers I was saying before, right? 4 to 5 year period, $8 billion, $2 billion per year, ballpark. They ebb and flow. I'm sure some years were lower than others.
Time events by 60% and neutralized dozens of members of transnational criminal organizations.
Oh, so they're shooting people.
These efforts have been critical to saving countless American lives and making our communities healthier.
You're losing him. Say speed again.
Healthier, safer, and stronger.
I can still get green Sudafed though, right?
Thank the President, President Trump, for his leadership in bringing us together in support of this critical mission. Thank you, sir. And I'm grateful for the hard work of our partners, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Department of Homeland Security, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Department.
All these people wearing masks because they knew they were going to be around us and the President.
Of Justice.
Thanks for
members
subscribing.
Of the intelligence community and support from Congress as well for all of their efforts.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to do this whole thing just because it's a lot. It's it's another half hour, and by the time I chew into all of it, it adds it triples the time. We'll skip around to the end. Does he have anything to say in this? Hold on.
Down and they designed. It's been going along. We're up to 250 miles.
Oh, we're talking about the wall again.
And that's real wall. That's a wall that
slat fence.
You don't get through.
No, you go over it or you dig under it, or you saw through it. Of course they get through it. Do we want to pull up video?
It's tough stuff and built to.
It's tough stuff. It's not made out of marzipan like I initially suggested.
Highest standard, built to everything that Border Patrol wanted. They all sat down and they designed their perfect wall, and then we said, let's build it that way.
And then after that, I chose a different model, and then we had to add a panel on the top of all of it and retrofit it because people were climbing over it with ladders that they had made from shit they found at Home Depot for $1.95.
We're up to 250 miles. By the end of the year, we'll be up to 450 or so.
No, you won't.
We'll have it finished very shortly thereafter, and it's made a tremendous difference because your number.
Okay. How long is our border with Mexico and South America? How's it? What is it? 1,000, 1,200 miles, something like that. I mean, and there are parts of it that are just like terrain that are ridiculous. No one will cross. So why would you put a wall there other than ego? Right.
On the southern border are very, very small coming through, and especially with COVID.
Take care, Richard. I'm almost done. Thank you. Happy National Nicaragua Day.
That turned out to be very lucky for us that we had the wall, or we would have been inundated, because they do have some big problems. I was with a great gentleman, the president of Mexico, 2 days ago. We had a long talk about the southern border and Mexico, and they've had some difficulty, but he's doing a fantastic job as president.
Keeping Americans out?
But the wall is very exciting, and we'll have that opened relatively very shortly.
Yeah.
And that was despite all odds, I would say, Mark, wouldn't you say? I was despite all odds. We had a certain party that was against it. They're not against it anymore, you know. In the end,
you just ended up repairing stuff, and you filed a lawsuit to try and use Pentagon funds that are not allocated for the wall to use them, and you just got turned down in court. They didn't have to fight you. You lost in court. You don't hear about it anymore because you can't get those funds. Thanks, Philly Dana. They don't have to fight it anymore. You lost.
They just raised their hand. They said, we don't want to take this on, because politically it turned out to be as good as we always knew. You know, two things never change: walls and wheels. Wheel will never change. You know, they were
NASA just came up with a wheel that's made out of like hashed metal. It's almost like it's woven metal, so that it doesn't require an inner tube, and pressurization isn't an issue, and it's formidable. It's impressive. It's kind of a change. By the way, the invention of the wheel is not a big deal. The idea that things, you know, roll, a wheel by itself, useless. You know what's impressive? The axle. Get me?
about technology. Technology is no good without the wall. And
technology is no good without the wall.
But it's something that
You can't have a factory like farm that's a farm.
Heard for a long time. Two things you will never change in 1,000 years from now: a wheel and a wall.
Actually, they've changed a lot. I mean, they started out as stone, relatively small. Eventually, they were interlocking systems. Now we have rebar. We make them out of wood. They've changed, in terms of printed concrete, for example, is another way of doing it.
They work, and this wall has really been unbelievable the way
it's a slat fence.
It's worked. So great job, and let's get it finished. And tremendous numbers on the southern border. Very few people come.
Very important that you can see through it, because you could be standing there walking the wall and they fling a big bag of drugs over it and it lands on you. It has to be see-through, so you can shoot people in Mexico and claim you didn't.
Appreciate it. And we've made a lot of legal changes too. Makes it a lot easier for you.
Yeah, like you mean like eminent domain laws? It's like stealing land from farmers and Americans who live on the border?
Robert, please.
Mr. President, thank you.
Oh, God. Robert, go ahead. Robert Herkheimer. Jerkwater. Okay, and then we'll end with him.
Under construction.
Oh, God.
So thank you for your time, sir, and the resources.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Douglas. And we have the best equipment that we've ever had as a military. We spent $2.5 trillion on our military. And
no, you don't. You budgeted $2.5 trillion for the military. It hasn't all been spent, dummy.
Some of it's arriving, some of it's...
Yeah, some of it hasn't been made yet.
But much of it's here.
No, much of it isn't.
So when you say
thank you, Patty,
quality of equipment, we definitely have the best equipment.
Oh, it's a 20% increase
we've ever had.
Good God. And it's stuff we didn't need. You just think the number of ships. We moved to aircraft carriers after Pearl Harbor because that's what we had left. And then we realized they're really useful. And for modern warfare, they're much more valuable than U-boat-sized battle boats.
The best equipment anyone has as a military. We have things...
Yeah, we've been, except for the shit we sell to Saudi Arabia.
Under construction that we're going to take a look at one day soon, where we have missiles that go, I hear, 17 times faster than any other missile, and the normal type at least. And
they go 17 times faster than normal missiles. These are not normal missiles.
It's something that nobody has anywhere in the world, 17 times faster.
So you can make a snap decision and order the death of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, and have even less time to go, oh shit, wait, I thought you said the red button.
It's a little hard to spot it when it goes that fast.
I thought that button said launch.
Because by the time you spot it, it's gone.
By the time you spot it, it's gone.
But we have things happening that nobody has even thought about.
No. We've all thought about it. I thought about it a lot when I was hiding under my desk during the Cold War.
So
just because you have no imagination doesn't mean the rest of the world isn't going, oh shit, this asshole's going to kill us all. It could look like this.
Thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job. You have all done a really fantastic job. And
they always do a fantastic. Most of the people who are in charge of Southcom have always been working very hard at their job. They take it very seriously. It's no different than it has been before. Giving them 2 new ships is not indicative of an entire change in policy or strategy from anybody else.
It's an honor to be here. I want to thank all of...
It's the biggest, the best, and the greatest, and has always been, and nobody ever bothered to even think about...
Folks behind me, too. I don't want to be rude, because...
Well, then stay turned facing this way. Leave them alone.
More important than all of us, right? But I want to thank you all very much. Great job. Really great job. Great to work with you and say hello. Tell them to get well fast, right? Great.
You know, the people wearing masks, because I'm not wearing a mask, and he's got COVID, and he couldn't be here today because he's on death's door, but it's a Democrat hoax, and they just are doing this to try and stop me from winning.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Admiral, it's yours.
Mr. President, thank you for the time and the attention and the resources, and we're...
Wait, did we just... That was it? Oh yeah,
American people, we owe it to our
Why didn't he go? Was he supposed to go to him first, and he just blew past him to do Esper?
For the future.
Where's Biden hiding? He just made a speech yesterday. What are you talking about hiding? We're all indoors, dickhead.
And, thank you.
Not hiding. He's made more speeches than this guy has.
You've done a great job. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ed.
And all of them aren't,
what a great job I'm doing, fantastic job. I mean, yeah, there's 130,000 dead, but there'd be millions dead if there was no government here.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, he just...
Thank you very much.
All he does is go to these places, have everybody lists off his grievances, has everybody kiss his ass, and then leaves.
We're setting records for the number of times I polish a chair with my ass.
Good God. Oh, then this must have been the speech the statement he had from the other thing that he took out the wrong speech. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I've got to go fix dinner. It's almost 6 o'clock here, so I will see you guys tomorrow for the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, that's right. I have a real radio show, not a podcast, although you can get it as a podcast. It originates as a proper radio program. That's right. And it's on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk, 8:20 a.m. And if you're in that area, if you're not, listen here. Go to WCPT820.com if you're out driving around and you don't want to watch me do the show, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't. I mean, honestly. Yes, and good point, Holly Esther. It's the same speech all the time, so he basically needs this. At some point during this, I look forward to doing the debates when they have debates. We'll go through them piece by piece. It's going to be a joy. And you know, there'll be more of these grievance fests over the next couple of days, I have no doubt. He has he was supposed to have a rally in New Hampshire. It's going to be in the next couple of a short period of time, right after I release my taxes, like I said I would, and the Republican health care plan, which is cheaper, better, covers people with previous, conditions, and is cheaper, better, and freer, and better, and good. When at some point right after that, he'll have his New Hampshire gathering. I thank you guys for being here today. Thanks to Patty Gardner for the super chat and Frankie Smith for Murph. Poor Murph. He's having such a hard time. We'll send him some love. And Ninka and Frankie and Philly Dana and Menda loves TikTok has followed. Menda, TikTok is malware. Get off TikTok, everybody. It's a mistake. Sexy Liberal show coming up July 18th. Working on my new bits already. It's going to be very exciting. July 18th. I think the VIP is sold out, but there might be a special announcement on Monday. Just saying. Just saying. Mary and Beverly and Frankie and thanks again, and Melinda and Rob Glenn, as always, brother. Thank you so much, and Megan and Panda Double X, thanks for following. And Brian, thank you, sir. Hell, Brian! And Lisa Mia Moore, bless you. Thank you so much for that. NCIS, Doctor Who. Sarah, thank you so much for the bits. Mary Seelhorst and Christina F., thank you so much. And Dark Faye and Bronwyn Fox. James Etling, Templeton Zerat, merci beaucoup et de rien. And Sarah again for that. And Steve Roberts. And I appreciate you guys. Oh, thanks so much. Wait, who's getting in right under the wire? I just saw that. Who was that? Benny Loco. Thank you guys. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the show. I'm going to go grab that clip. After I fix dinner, I'm going to go grab the clip of Nicaragua and post that. If you guys want to see that and pass that around, I'll have that up and running right after I make dinner for everybody. So bless you guys. I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And like the great Can't Stop Lying always reminds us, reach out to somebody. Let them know you're thinking about them. This has been a very hard time for a lot of people. They feel trapped. Reach out to an acquaintance, a friend, an old friend from high school, something. Go, hey, I've been thinking about you today. You know, I see you. You've been running through my Tig, drummer for 01. I sent you a message earlier today. We had a little back and forth on video. If you're watching, sometimes you do. I love you. I miss you desperately. Billy, Doug, all you guys, hugs all around. So many people out there we all miss. Reach out to them. Let them know you're thinking about them, because that's the only way we're going to get through this, is to build bigger and bigger bonds. And I'm telling you, this is my prediction for the economy. Next spring, from next spring through the following 5 years, live shows are going to be off the hook. Because if any of you don't see me come through and when I do stand-up or when I tour with my band or any band or comic you love, you don't go see them live when they come to your town and you piss away that opportunity because you could always just see it later or maybe you'll catch them next time. If we haven't learned anything from this, is you don't take any of that shit for granted. Thank you, Ginger. Bless you so much. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I know it's hard for you to listen to the sound of Trump's voice, so it shows tremendous strength for you to even put up with this. I adore you and I appreciate you. But honestly, don't take any of that stuff for granted. Remind everyone, this time next year, I'm going to be on the road non-stop. I have no doubt. And I look forward to seeing every single one of you at a live show. Until then, I'm going to be doing regular virtual shows. We will keep it safe and healthy and fun. And we will get through all this together and maintain our wits about us and enjoy ourselves and laugh at the expense of the giant orange moronic dictator that all the maggots seem to not notice is the biggest socialist fascist that's ever been in charge of the country. Cheers. Bye, everybody. See you next time. You guys are awesome.
Groovy.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
I feel like a Kentucky Fried Idiot.
Easy, real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Leon's getting larger.
Why don't you just sit there and bleed a while before you taste some real pain?
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Groovy.
I'm a land farmer, motherfucker!
Hail to the king, baby.
I'm rich and I'm dead sexy.
Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!
It's good to be the king.
Bring out your dead!
It's good to be the king.
Beef jerky?
Oh, no, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh.
Easy, real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Take off, eh? Wah-wah-wee-wah!
Call me Snake. Call me Snake.
I'm your huckleberry.
Call me Snake.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Call me Snake.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, would you classify that as a launch problem or a design problem?
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head. You using the whole fist, Doc?
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capita. It's just like per capita relative to what?
To be moron. To be moronical. An imbecile. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
Guy talk!
I'm your huckleberry.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
Thank you, Doc. You ever served time?
I guess what I learned most of all was that you should always take responsibility for your actions, unless you don't have to.
I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses!
That's great psychology. Why don't you just say something bad about my mother?
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it.
Just follow the money.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. Am I getting through to you? Over! How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
I love lamb.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Why don't you just sit there and bleed a while before you taste some real pain?
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Why am I the only person that has that dream?